VHI is a fun, free way to feel your personal best every single week. Find out more at vhi.ie/running. VHI, because your health means everything.
We wish you a...
It may be too early for Christmas carols, but it's never too early to start the Christmas shopping. Save hundreds, possibly thousands of euro shopping online with Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save on delivery and on customs tariffs this Christmas with Hub Derry. Open Monday to Saturday, collect at your convenience. Find us on Facebook and Google Hub Derry.
Around the Northwest with John Bresden live this Friday at Urban Expert Electrical Letterkenny for the Big Build Weekend from 12 to 2:30. There'll be unbeatable offers across the store, expert advice and the latest home appliance innovations. It's all happening this Friday and Saturday at Urban Expert Electrical.
The Naughty Alarm Clock. Wake up happy with the Naughty Alarm Clock. Highland Radio.
I would say you'd be a good man on the drums, Greg.
No, I'd love to play the drums. It'd be my favourite instrument.
Do you see on socials, you know how you get the drumsticks the earplugs? And what about you just do that? You don't have a drum kit.
Yeah. I
sticks.
really don't know how that would work, but I would love to be able to play the drums. It'd be what I keep an eye on in a band. You know when you go to see a live band?
Yeah, you'd watch them. There's something, and there's some really good ones on really socials, isn't there? Like they're really doing fancy stuff.
Yeah, Donegal Daddy's a drummer, isn't he?
He is a very good drummer. I haven't seen him drum, but he is a drummer. Yeah,
he streams his drumming sometimes.
Does he?
He does that.
Fair, I didn't catch
recently.
him.
I certainly have seen it in the past.
And if you couldn't drum, what would you do then? After the drums,
lead guitar. Singer? Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you want to be the singer, don't you? That's front and centre.
Not necessarily. Some people are just happy to be in the wing, you know?
Not if you're in a band.
I know you'd be happy enough. You can do la la la, bit of backing vocals. Oohs, the oohs and the ass.
All right, you've lost the run of yourself at the end of the week.
That's
You're going to have to start fresh.
Yeah, start fresh, do a full week next week.
Have a good, exactly. You had a 4-day week. Did it feel long or what? Or normal?
Michaela says sometimes it feels long when you're
me too,
holiday, but no, it felt perfect.
Good. Well, listen, enjoy your weekend.
You have a good
We'll
one.
chat to you Monday, all being well. It's 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. More local councils will decide today whether or not to back any independent candidates in the presidential election. Wexford and Waterford County Councils will hear from some of those hoping to make it onto the ballot papers. Meanwhile, Sinn Féin is set to announce tomorrow if the party will nominate its own candidate. Editor of the Business Post, Daniel McConnell, says there are lots of rumours swirling as to who that may be.
The name that first came to a lot of people's mind was the name of Pearse Doherty, their finance spokesperson and Donegal TD, given the reference to Thon Long Gaeilge Egan Dinna, as Mary Lou MacDonald put it. Obviously, other people in the party have been mentioned as well. Mairead Farrell, who is their public expenditure and reform spokesperson, and then obviously the name Jarlath Burns has come back into the mix now. Jarlath Burns had previously ruled himself out.
A number of homes and a nursing home have been evacuated in Omagh following the discovery of a suspicious object. The security alert is ongoing in the Culmore Park area. Those evacuated have been housed in a nearby community centre. Motorists are urged to avoid the area. A post-mortem examination will be carried out later on the partial skeletal remains found in North County Dublin earlier this week. The remains found on wasteland on the Portran Road in Donabate are believed to be those of Daniel Arabose, who went missing over 4 years ago when he was around 3 years old. Gardaí had been searching the site for a fortnight after they were told the child was secretly buried there. It's hoped the post-mortem, which may take some time, will determine whether the child died accidentally, of natural causes, or if something more sinister happened. The Stormont Assembly has been told the current executive is failing across a number of areas, including health, education, transport and economic development. West Tyrone MLA Daniel McCrossan, a member of the SDLP opposition, says the First and Deputy First Ministers have tried to present themselves as leaders of an administration which is delivering. However, he says the truth is very different, particularly in the area of health.
On their watch, health waiting lists still among the worst in Europe with no credible plan to fix them. GP access, patients can't get appointments and services are collapsing in rural areas. Hospital reform, endless talk, no delivery, decisions are constantly delayed for political convenience. Social care is underfunded, overstretched and dependent on families to pick up the slack. Mental health services, strategy after strategy, yet services remain underfunded and in crisis. Addiction services are non-existent.
Almost 500 homes, businesses and farms on Armore Island can now access high-speed fibre broadband. National Broadband Ireland has already completed works in other parts of Donegal, including in Bunbeg, Creeslaw and Letterkenny. €128 million is being invested in delivering high-speed fibre broadband in Donegal. Finally, for weather, mostly cloudy today with outbreaks of rain. Highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Smart plan, big savings when you switch to 3. Get iPhone 16e at no upfront cost. Now from just €40 per month. Hurry, offer ends soon. From €40 a month for 24 months, €47 a month thereafter. Annual price increase of €3 and direct debit apply on 3 select Essentials 5G plan. See 3.ie.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till Noon Show on this Friday, the 19th of September 2025. And you're very welcome along, of course, and you're very welcome to get involved in the conversation. With it being Friday, we have a Friday panel, which I'll introduce to you very shortly. We're going to be talking about some of the big topics making the news and conversations this week. 07491 25000. If you want to call in during the hour and leave a comment, please do. WhatsApps or texts to 08660 25000, 08660 25000, or you can email comments@highlandradio.com. And just to invite you to watch the show if you wish. If you're at home, you can use your Fire Stick, your smart TV, and watch us on the YouTube app, Highland Radio Ireland, and we're across Facebook as well. And we're also already joined by Gilbert and Philomene and hundreds of others watching on the various platforms across the world. Okay, let's say good morning to Maria Rush, manager at Rush Fitness and PRO of Donegal Women in Business Network. Congratulations, by the way, on the latter appointment there, Maria. I don't think I've spoken to you since.
No, thank you very much, and good morning to everybody listening, and good morning to my fellow panelists. How are you? Yeah, thanks a million, Greg. Huge honour.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how we get on.
Emer McGuinness, manager of the Donegal Mart. Good morning, Emer.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning to everyone else.
Great to have you with us. And Councillor Micheál Colm McGillen Aspeg, independent councillor in the Glentees Municipal District. Good morning, Micheál Colm.
Margin White, Greg, agus Margin White and Birch Bonnet and Shaw Foster.
It's very good to have you all with us. Right, okay. In the wake of the Daniel Arubo's tragic death, echoing the unresolved case of Kyron Dernan, does Tusla's pattern of inadequate follow-up, as some have described it, on vulnerable children signal a systemic failure that demands urgent reform to prevent future losses? Since that story broke, Tusla has revised the number of children whose cases were closed during the COVID-19 pandemic and are subject to a well-being check to cover 42,000 people. And the agency confirmed that the provisional number of children encompassed by checks is 42,552. That's an awful lot of catching up that we have to do because we weren't doing it to begin with. Emer McGuinness, we can't allow this to happen again.
No, it's actually sickening to watch, and it just keeps happening. The system is, and then you hear the head of Tusla was out and they all have something to say. Now, we didn't actually, and we won't get to see the report because they're open cases, but like when you read the case of both little boys that have gone missing recently, like to think that they were known to Tusla and they were only little boys now, that nobody went back and actually checked on their welfare. That should be done every 6 months. I just can't understand how, because there's no referral, that you forget about them and move on to your next case. Maybe it's inadequate staff, and I don't know, but I just think it's horrific in this day and age that can happen. And another thing as regards to fostering and that, because I had looked at fostering myself, there's a reason these children are put into foster care in the first place. And we went a good step down the road of the fostering care issue. And one thing I learned from it is you have to be willing to if you get a child into your care, that your weekends or whatever, you have to take that child to go back to see the family. They always want to return the child to the original family, which that's okay, and I understand that. But why was the child taken out of the family system in the first place? And I think that's something that really needs looking at, because I don't know. I just think it's horrific to think that you just close a case on a child and you don't check or follow up on them 6 months, a year.
Yeah, Maria Rush, it's all children really, because, obviously we're focusing on the children that came to the attention of Tusla, but there doesn't seem to be really any satisfactory way of, tracking the welfare of children, generally speaking. But when we do have a heads up that there could be issues, it's like you sign off and say, right, well, that's okay, and there's no follow-up. And then children can disappear off the face of the planet for years. And in these two cases, from what I can gather, we happened to discover that they hadn't been seen for years.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Emer. I find this whole case incredibly upsetting. I suppose whether you're a parent or not, it's upsetting, and even yesterday in the shops, seeing his wee face looking out at us from the papers, it was just, it beggars belief that a child can be so easily missed. And unfortunately, these are two high profile cases, but you have to wonder how many more there are. I think I agree with everything Emer said. I think systematic failures is the main cause here of not being able to keep a track. And I do think it's very important that we say that, it's fair to remember that the frontline social workers, the frontline people on these jobs, they're under massive strain. And I'm not saying this in any way to make excuses, but I know from having worked in education that there's a huge amount of strain on resources, there's a huge amount of strain on time. The pandemic and the closure of schools, for example, at the time, added its own issues then, because there weren't those agencies weren't all speaking together for so long. So with homeschooling, with closures, with loss of staff, with the lack of morale and the drop of morale in those jobs as well, there's so many things happening, but none of those are an excuse for what's happened to these two children.
In terms of, say, for instance, water provision or roads infrastructure, and you can talk about resources, staff resources, financial resources, oversight, management. That's one thing, but these are thousands of children, enough children to fill a big football stadium. Is this going to be another crisis? Now, listen, a head and a stick doesn't achieve anything, but ultimately someone needs to be found responsible for this, because until we get surely some level of responsibility in these areas, we're going to just see this happen over and over again until such time as it's stumbled upon. Why does a TD or member of government never come forward and say, we unearthed this scandal? This, why is it always an investigates program or an expose or a happen chance? I mean, there's serious failures there. And as I say, in terms of water, roads and all that kind of stuff, right, okay, we can argue the toss. But this is the welfare of tens of thousands of children. Micheál Colm?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I listened to Emer and Maria there and what they were saying there. And I think as any decent human being, we're all moved in relation to this case and the last case. And the idea that the state is so unorganised in terms of child welfare. And I think Maria's right in what she's saying in terms of not making any excuses for anybody, but there are people out there who are social workers who are doing fantastic work. There are other community groups out there who work alongside Tusla, who are very family and child focused, the likes of Lifes, who do fantastic work around the county, and many other groups as well who are absolutely rattled in relation to this. But they also have stories that they can tell. I know myself, when I worked with the HSE, which is a good number of years now, I was a family support worker. And even within my youth work, when I worked with the in youth work, we would have worked very, very closely hand in hand with Tusla. And when I left the HSE at the time as a family support worker, I think that in the area that I worked, without identifying it, there was something like 140 families that needed high-level support and emergency support that we knew they weren't going to get. So I do think there has to be a review. I do think there has to be a serious sit-down. And you mentioned politicians there. Why is it that state broadcasters or other journalists are the ones who are exposing this? I think that there are, Greg, with respect, there are loads of people out there who have been shouting for a very long time in relation to the inadequacies within the service. But we need to sit down and we need to be able to work together and not finger pointing and or.
Okay. Well, with respect, I just want to come back on that. I think I personally would be perfectly happy to point the finger at everyone who has any responsibility or any influence over 42,500 children being signed off by Tusla and never checked up on again.
100%. And what I was trying to get to was there that we wouldn't be sitting down and finger pointing as politicians tend to do at each other, at what political party are to blame. We're talking about children, we're talking about their carers, and we're talking about their parents, other human beings. And the idea that we are losing within the system, which we know happens constantly, people fall within the stools constantly, not just in terms of the cases like this here, but many, many others, many other families and children and individuals, and especially women, have been failed consistently by state. And we need to get that together. And then if we look at the reports every year from Bernardo's, and we look at the poverty within families, poverty within a certain age group of 1 in 5 children going to school hungry, and we've put all that together, it states very clearly as a headline, we are failing children dramatically.
Well, what do we do about it? Just to put those figures again into context, 225,000 children in this country living in poverty, 5,000 children are homeless, 42,500 were under, at some point, the care or at least the interest of Tusla, and they actually don't know what the story with them is. Our only hope is that it's only, which is a horrific thing for even come out of my mouth, 2 wee boys, but we don't know. What does that say about, is it us as a society? Is it governance, Maria? What does it say? That's a lot of people. Let me just reiterate, 225,000 kids living in poverty, 5,000 homeless, and 42.5, at one point at least, vulnerable children that we don't know where they are.
I mean, those numbers are staggering considering our population, Greg. It is. And yes, we are. I agree with everything Neil Collins just said. We are failing our children hugely. There was a piece in the Independent yesterday by Lorraine Courtney, and she actually, just what you just said, Greg, she talks about how, as a society, why are we so keen to just put our heads down and walk on? And a lot of it, she reckons, comes from the idea that, you know, we're no longer, we don't know our neighbors anymore, and there's a lot of social issues there, that we don't know our neighbors, that we don't gather on a Sunday maybe as much as we used to, things like that.
And counterpoint to that, and I don't wish to be ignorant, I think, you know, even when everyone lived in each other's doors, there was, you know, massive cover-ups of child abuse, domestic violence.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's an excuse, but
I don't think it's the glory years, if you know what I mean. And I'm not saying it's your words. I know you're quoting somebody else.
She was, you know, and she talked as well about the socioeconomic background of the children that tend to go missing, and how, you know, is a child's worth based on their income. And I mean, when you look at those numbers that you just called there, Greg, about, you know, 5,000 children homeless, we have 225,000 living in the poverty line. Like, there's so much wrong. And I mean, we could sit here till the cows come home trying to come up with ways that it can be sorted, but until we have systems in place and procedures in place and management of those systems in place, we really are.
The reason I think it's important to talk about, though, is because we actually we have more power than maybe we take credit for. So if enough people are pissed off about this, listening to this show, maybe they bring it up with the TDs, maybe it becomes an election issue, maybe it becomes a red line. So the talk, I think, is really significant. Not that you're saying otherwise, Maria, by the way. I hope you don't think I'm contradicting you.
Not at all.
Micheál, Colm, just you wanted to come in there before I get last word from Emer on this.
And I think this is really, really important that if you look at the poverty levels within the Free State, but we also need to look at in relation to the 6 counties as well, because we are a very small island, and as just Maria says, if we look at our population, which is 6.5 million, and if you look at the poverty levels, and if you look at the homeless figures right across, and look at the social and economic backgrounds of the people that we're talking about, the human beings that we're talking about, those that are homeless, living in hotels, irrelevant of their cultural or nationality, other human beings who are barely scraping by, and a political decision has been made by the economic elite who they look after. Nobody will be going to school hungry if for the want of a better word from Dublin 4.
But of course,
nobody
my point is
we
can't stand. Of course they won't.
Nobody in a hotel will be living. Nobody in Dublin 4 will be living in a hotel with no prospects of getting a long-term forever home.
Colin, but the point is we can't just stand by and watch on and sort of say this is how these people. This is why the public need to be more motivated by this. Do you know what I mean? You're sitting there in a pro-Palestinian T-shirt, okay, and you're actively campaigning for what's going on over there, which is fantastic, right? But it would be no good if you just sat there recognizing that it happens and blaming Israel, right? You'd need to get involved and make your voice heard, and that's what we need to do in this country as well for this 250,000 children.
Yeah, I fully agree with you.
Rather than just saying, well, it's the elite and we're the victims here. Well, let's motivate.
Clarify here that I have committed, because you've kind of as an individual.
I haven't.
Well,
I haven't. No, I haven't. I genuinely haven't.
Okay, then. So all I can say is that for myself, who my own background, who did make a decision in terms of where I want to put my time, energy, and focus, was to work with families, work with young ones, and to politically challenge at the same time, because we have abilities to do a number of things at the same time. And on that basis, in terms of youth poverty, of homelessness, stuff that I've been very proactive at for many years, longer than I haven't. And I think it's really important that we put it into the perspective that it is in, and look at the social and economics of it, and look at it politically. No more different than 100 years, not even 100 years ago, 80, 70 years ago, when we used to send our children out to the lagging, and the social and economics and the political decisions that were made to allow us to sell our children off to wealthy farmers for a period of the season.
And up until very recently, we were selling our children off out of mother and babies' homes as well. It's not necessarily historic. I take your point, and I wasn't having a go at you, but I appreciate you clarifying what you be at. Emer, last word to you on this.
Oh, look, again, we kind of got carried away and went on a different tangent there. I would agree with you, Greg. Like, only people can change this.
I think we
started off talking about two children that we know of that have disappeared, and what will be done about it. Oh, yeah, we're all in shock, and it'll be on the front of the newspapers today, but what's going to actually happen? Tusla failed dramatically here. They really backed up. They didn't follow up. If they need to employ more people, our young people who cannot defend themselves are the most important people in society. And we have failed. Norma Foley, come on, talking about, oh, it's awful and it's everything else. But she's the lady in the power that should be overseeing this. And we're talking about it now, and it's happened. So it can never happen again. Like, it's disgraceful. And what is going to happen? They have failed dramatically. They might be understaffed. I am not, and they do work very hard, the people that are there.
But if I would want to see a letter from Tusla to someone in government stating that we can't do our job, we need to follow up on these kids, and we need this funding. And I want to see the response from whomever is in that department saying, we appreciate what you're saying, but there's no further funding available. A person just lost the job, the second biggest job in Britain at the moment, because she misclaimed some sort of a rental value of a property or something. And we're talking about 250,000 kids here. So let's follow a train of documents to find out who said, right, Tusla has enough funding. You know, that's the kind of accountability I'm looking for now.
There's no accountability, Greg, and I think we've had this conversation many times before. Like, there are basic, simple systems that would help the people who are on the front line do their job. An information communication system. Why can't the education, schools, welfare, medical, Tusla, cross-border, why can't they have a database where they can check on a child instead of this individual where we all have our own systems and we're not allowed to share information? You know, you have to be very careful, of course, but how is it that you were going in swings and roundabouts to try and get information on a child? The person who discovered this was, ironically enough, over money. Let's be honest, we're back to that again. The person who discovered it, I would love to know how long it took them to actually find out. Like, how long did it take from that first moment of, God, there's something not right here, that form doesn't work, to actually being able to acknowledge this child is missing. As a mother, I have to fill out a form. Exactly. And I have to fill out a form. I'm sure any other parent here has to do the same every year to say that my children, where they're in school and that they're still here, and that's, and that if I don't fill that out, I don't get the next payment. That kind of administration's quick enough. There's no bother cutting off the money when it has to happen, Sorry, Colin.
No, to the Garth. No, I do think that in relation to, and look, no, I don't know either of both of you, and I'm not sure of the background of both of you, but if, and no doubt you know well people who work daily with children and family out there. And one of the concerns, and I remember back then when I worked, where you would have concerns, and maybe some community groups who do fantastic work out there, and they do fantastic works, like I said, the likes of Lives and many other groups out there. But the concerns are, if you rock a boat too much, that means you don't get maybe possibly the funding that you badly need to work. We had fantastic projects. I remember we had a fantastic project where we were doing night work many years ago. Maybe about 12, 13 years ago. And our job was to engage young ones on the streets late at night and try to encourage them to look at different avenues in life and not there, because that's the time that they were out and about. Pilot project, fantastic project. We felt at the time it was very, very worthwhile. And again, and like a lot of other projects that are fantastic out there are doing youth engagement, family engagement, individual engagement.
Yep, that's great. The stuff that's going great is great, and I'm not cutting across it because we need to move on. It's the stuff that's failing at the moment. There are brilliant people doing brilliant things, not least foster parents. But one thing, just Maria, I want to clarify, because of the nature of the subject, I would imagine that point that lady you were quoting was actually making, and I suspect I picked it up wrong. She probably was saying that we knew each other, and if a kid went missing in the neighbourhood house, you would know it and be able to report it. So I probably could have crossed you a little bit there. I presume that's the point.
Yeah, not at all. And she wasn't in any way putting blame on anybody. I just thought it was a really nice written article, and it was talking about a child's visibility and how basically we need to do better. And it's not just, yes, Tusla have failed, but we as a society 100% need to do better.
And I picked that wrong, and I apologise, because as I was obviously listening and thinking, I was presuming actually that's probably what she meant, and that's a very valid point. Okay, back with more from our guests in a moment. Keep your texts and WhatsApp coming into us, because we're very keen to hear your opinions as well. We're joined by Emer McGuinness, manager of the Donegal Mart, Councillor Micheál Colin McGowan-Asperg, independent councillor in the Glentees Municipal District, and Maria Rush, who's the manager of Rush Fitness and now the PRO too of the Donegal Women in Business Network.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Are you going through intense treatment, alopecia or hair thinning? At the Donegal Wig Centre and Patrick O'Day Hairdressing, we have over 30 years experience helping people feel themselves again. In our private consultation suite, we have the largest selection of beautiful wigs and hairpieces in the Northwest, and we're HSE approved. To arrange your private consultation at the Donegal Wig Centre in Letterkenny, call us today on 91 25476.
Stay ahead with the Irish Farmers Journal. Never miss an issue with our convenient home delivery service and digital subscription. Get trusted news, advice on schemes and cap, and up-to-date mart prices. We have unrivaled dairy, beef, tillage sheep, pedigree and machinery coverage with technical expertise delivered to your door every Thursday. Plus, instant access to all our premium content on your mobile. Subscribe today and claim the cost against your farm tax bill. Go to www.ifj.ie/subscription.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents the Ultimate 70s Night, Sunday, October 26th. Get ready for Shawadi Wadi and the Bay City Rollers live at the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Sing and dance the night away to all the hits. Tickets on sale at ticketmaster.ie and hotel reception. Don't miss this unforgettable night, October 26th at the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny.
September is set up with special offers this week at Dunnes Stores. Like 2 for €20 on selected Ariel Fairy and Bold Pods, Persil caps and liquids, Lenore beads and Andrex toilet roll. Or mix and match pot noodles and Knorr quick lunches, 5 for €5. And snacks like Cadbury's Block Bars and Tato's 6-pack range, 3 for €5. Plus, save more with your 10 off 50 or 5 off 25 vouchers. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchers can be used on next grocery shop.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It is 9:28. With the recent assassination of US conservative activist Charlie Kirk amid deepening political divisions in America and a surge in online threats and intimidation against Irish politicians like the Taoiseach Simon Harris, is Ireland approaching a tipping point where verbal abuse escalates into lethal violence? Micheál Colm, you're the elected rep on the call. I'll go to you first.
Yeah, in terms of verbal abuse and violence towards public representatives, yeah, we see a massive increase in this, especially and very much directed at those who are, not all, obviously, who are of a progressive ideological position. There is a huge concern out there in terms of the aggression and the violence and the threats. We would talk about this quite a lot on a regular basis, myself and a handful of other progressive politicians, and we do, yes, very much have a concern. I do know that the Guards are conscious of it. I think that things are changing, and I think within the political world this last number of years that things have changed. In the last very, very short number of years, things have changed quite dramatically. I think it's very concerning and worrying after the prime time last night had shown that RTE were able to buy the data, and that RTE then were able to break down who the individuals were, right down to identify where their homes were, what they do on a regular pattern. And that is concerning. And I would hope that the state would move immediately to stop anybody buying anybody's data, which is through the phone, right through to the Defence Forces, the Navy, and the Garda Síochána, and very specifically politicians as well. And that is concerning. There is no doubt whatsoever. There is threats out there. The Guards will not talk about this on radio, about any individual cases. There's threats right across the 30 or the 26 counties at least, and possibly within the occupied 6 counties, but also within our own county, that there are threats, and these threats need to be taken very, very, very serious. There is quite a lot of talk that the far right are now military training right across different parts of the country. There is strong belief, with intelligence to back it, that there is explosive training and that there are weapon and sniping training taking place. And this leaves us in a place where we haven't been for a very long time, and probably never been in terms of threats towards politicians from the far right.
Okay,
And I think
I'll
that
taste that with you a little bit more. I want to bring Eamon McGuinness in here now. You know, I do get the sense that it feels like it's only a matter of time, Emer, before we do see, you know, a politician or someone, you know, very profile with a high profile in a particular movement coming to harm.
Look, I'm all for freedom of speech, and I do believe we should be able to debate about things, and people should be able to have a different opinion on things. And I suppose then you'll have, and for want of a better word, you'll call them some nutter who takes it that step further. I do also, I've looked at it from both sides, and you know, it must be very hard for a parent, maybe of a child that's sick, to sit there and listen to a politician talk about something and defend something that has really hurt or damaged them in some way, and basically make it or try to make it right. And I can understand where the anger rises, like, you know, children with scoliosis and all them different things. I can understand where that anger, and you'd want to maybe kill them or something. But at the end of the day, you know that that's wrong, and that's not going to fix the problem, or you should know that that's wrong. What's happening with Simon Harris, I think, is appalling. It's awful. I was watching actually a clip this morning of Martin Hayden. He was at the ploughing yesterday, and there was somebody was come up behind him with regards to, we're chatting about Gaza and the abuse he took. He was just walking along then and he said he had sat listening to him for an hour speaking, and what he hadn't said or what he hadn't done, and the whole cameras followed him. I don't know if you've seen it. And he abused him. It's like, where was he getting with that? You know, why did he think that Martin Hayden was going to stop at any stage?
But we're at a point now whereby there's collateral damage. Everything is justifiable from the left and the right, by the way. I should point out. We
like
can tease
it
that
is
out a
both
bit longer.
ways. It's people seem to think, and I don't know if they're struggling so much or what has made people like that. America seems to be going to another level, and you know, as regards politicians out there, the more radical you are and the more outrageous you are and the more things you say, the more media attention you
But
get.
we are
and the more
tracking
likely
that.
you'll
That's
be.
the reason why I've brought it back up for conversation today.
Yeah.
You know, where America is at this, say, position 1, Britain would be, say, position 3, and we're at position 5, but we're all moving in the same direction. We see where the inevitability of where it's going. Maria Rush, you know, there was a time whereby people could have two different political points of view and thrash that out and get angry and even square up, right? But at the end of the day, you didn't judge the person as their view or what have you. You know, you could still maybe talk about other things with them. Those days seem to be gone now in the extremes of politics.
Those days are gone in the extremes of politics, and I think they're gone in the media as well. I think in the general population, we're still able to have conversations where I can disagree with you completely about a topic, but I can still like you as a person. And I can still acknowledge that, okay, I might not agree with what you're saying at all, but empathy allows me to maybe understand where you're coming from, because we all have different perspectives. And Greg, I don't know how many times over the years we have been talking about this on here, and I will always say, you know, the truth is, your opinion is not fact. And the line, everyone is entitled to my opinion, and that's not me speaking, by the way, it's a quote, generally seems to be a case now that if I think something, and for example, Emer, you think something different, we can't speak, we can't be friends. And in order, rather now than debating and having conversation, we attack each other.
But just in relation to that, Maria, and I'd love to hear your point, and this is not specific to you, and I have no access to your social media or what have you, but it would not be the case if I did a dive into your X algorithm and your Facebook page, that, and maybe it's not the case, that you're more likely to be interacting or associating with people that have similar views to you.
Absolutely. And the algorithm will always, if you look something up, like I'm at the stage now where my kids are looking up things and then it's showing it to me, you know, so this is, it's, and I don't want to know about anime and, you know, things like that. But yes, and we do fall into kind of echo chambers, 100%. I taught English for a long time and I used to teach debating skills. And one of the things I used to say to the kids was, if you get to a point where you have to start firing insults and attacking the other person, you've lost your argument straight away. You should be able to disagree in a sense about anything, where you can give your opinion, you can give where you're coming from, and sometimes through conversations with people, you're able to think, hang on, maybe it's not as black and white as I thought it was. This is where we are now within the media. I could go tomorrow and find evidence, guys, that the grass is actually purple and that we're all wrong about it being green. If I wanted to find evidence to back that up, I could, because we can find, based on those echo chambers, based on what we're looking at, based on misinformation, we can find any evidence we want to back up anything at all. So when it comes to politics, we have got the far right and the far left. Do you know what? If you go far enough right, you'll end up back at the left. And if you go far enough left, you're going to go around in circles.
No, I can't agree with that.
No, but I mean, from the point of view of conversation,
it's like a horseshoe, really. I mean,
you can talk yourself around in circles.
Yeah, like Micheál Colm, obviously,
ridiculous.
I can understand where you're coming from and directing your comments towards the far right. But if you take a step back and look at how the far left are looking to shut people up, the kind of language and rhetoric that they use against their opponents, there's no high moral ground here. I mean, ideologically, you might believe there is, but in terms of discourse and behaviour, there isn't.
Well, Greg, it's okay. You said there about shutting people up. That's what they're trying to, but it's the abuse and it's how they're trying to do it. Like, we're sitting here talking today, and if somebody wanted to send a text into you, an outrageous, awful text about one of us, that's okay to do that. And I suppose media allows that to happen. Whether you read it out or not is another thing. But, people seem to have no filter anymore. And
Absolutely.
Social media allows that. They write and say awful things about other people. And based on maybe us talking for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, maybe not getting our full points across, they might know nothing about you. And that's where media in general, I suppose, and it allows it to continue, and it allows it to build into something else. And maybe somebody sitting, listening at home then will take this in their head and it develops. So, while media is great in ways, like getting your message across, it also allows.
But no one's going to text in a show like this here and say threaten violence or what have
maybe
you.
not.
And I'll tell you why, because their telephone numbers at the top is associated with the comment on X. Yeah. They might say it, and they might put a picture of you and doctor it so there's a bullet through your head or something. But, at least there are some sort of checks and balances. But I take your point. Micheál Colm, you go on ahead.
Sorry, Greg, go on ahead.
No, you make your point there.
No, I look, I think, we've been here before, right? We need to be realistic about this too. It's the rise of extreme, for me anyway, extreme hard right and fascism, and where the concern is obviously it's on the rise again. But all we have to do is look in relation to the 6 counties and fascism there through loyalism. All we have to do is open a history book and look at the rise of fascism within Ireland right through to the 30s. And we need to look at where we are today and why we are where we are. And for somebody who comes from a very left Republican position here, I do believe that this is orchestrated and facilitated by the elite and the political classes. When
but you're from a section of politics that you're from a section of politics, Micheál Colm. Not you. I'm on about sort of that when the time is right, I'm more than happy to take up. I'm not saying you are, but to take up arms, to plant bombs, etc. That's violence. That has happened in our history. You're talking about our history.
About national liberation in relation to the occupation from British imperialism. But we're talking about something slightly different here, Greg. So what we're talking about is that when capitalism, and we've seen it right through the world, is in crisis, it's facilitated then that the working classes would focus on each other, and instead of focusing on the economic elite and their economic policy that is leaving the working class where we are. So while we are divided and while we see each other as the enemy, the capitalists and the neoliberals are able to work away to profit and to gain.
Can I be honest with you? And this is me being completely honest, and this is on me. I don't know what you've just said. I don't know what any neoliberals
right. So
and
basically
capitalism.
what I'm saying is,
I have no idea what you're saying.
I'm saying is that when the very very wealthy people in our society and in the world are hemorrhaging money that they believe that they need to claw back and that they need to re-establish themselves. What they decide to do, and this is textbook politics for them, is that they get the working class to be divided, them and us, and they facilitate, which we see with Elon Musk and many others, very, very wealthy people, to facilitate the rise of fascism. It's those that are coming in the boats. It's those that have a different sexuality to you. It's those that are in a wheelchair, and it's those that are on the dole queues that is your enemy. And if we can only stop them claiming the dole, or if we can only stop them claiming social homes and houses, well, things would be okay. And what happens is that the very wealthy in society gets organised and gets wealthier.
I still don't understand,
each other.
Because what I see is very wealthy.
I'll tell you what I'll do is
I'll see
send you some links.
No, I'm all right.
Maybe it's something
my point
that would be worth looking into.
I see on the left very, very wealthy people profiteering. I see on the right very wealthy people.
I don't know anybody on the wealth that is very, very wealthy.
Really?
I don't.
Liberal politics
and the circles that I run about, and I am off the left. I'm a communist. I'm a Republican. I don't know anybody on the left.
So as soon as you accumulate weight, you can't be of the left. I get where you're coming from. All I see is people, right, who are of the same socio-economical background with very different political points of view that are prepared now at this point to take each other's heads off.
Yes.
And what are we doing to try and address that?
Textbook classics for the elite to divide us, the working class.
Maria or Emer, do you understand? And I don't mean it in any way disparaging. I take full ownership of the fact that it's my ignorance that I don't understand necessarily what you're saying about neoliberalism and that type of stuff. But Maria, can you respond to that?
I get what Neil Collins saying about turning us against each other. I fully agree with that, and I do think that there's a lot going on that we will never know about. So
do you believe it's the right that is doing that? Because I think that's what Neil Collins is saying. It's the right that's doing that too.
My argument or my thought would be, it's really hard to say anything here without getting yourself in trouble, isn't it? But I think if we blame one side for absolutely everything, if the far left, for example, thinks something and believes something, and anybody disagrees with them, and then there's a label put upon us straight away, or put upon you straight away, that if I don't agree with something, oh, well, you're a bigot, or you're a racist.
Well, Israel do that. Israel do that. If you don't agree with what they're doing, they will label you anti-Semite. It was a liberal who shot Charlie Kirk, for an example.
And what was Charlie Kirk doing? He was debating. I would not agree with a lot of what that man said, but he was opening conversations, and he was
a good debater.
He was a fabulous debater, fantastic debater, and he was speaking. So you're down to the idea of there's a difference between freedom of expression and freedom of speech. And I think, Emer, you touched on this a wee while ago. I can express my views. I mean, I'm sitting here now with three very intelligent people. I can disagree with you. I can agree with you. I have no less respect for you when I go off the air than I did when I came on it. And we would probably disagree on many things, and we would probably agree on many things. But when it comes to the point where my freedom of expression is suddenly being labeled as you are against us, so you are wrong, and that's the end of the conversation, we have a problem. And then the freedom of speech, if it becomes that you can say whatever you want, and as you said, Emer, and I've been on the other side of it, so I'm speaking from experience. I have had anonymous letters. I have had things said about myself and my family. That comes from being in the public eye to a certain extent. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't excuse it, and I will stand up to it. But where do we draw the line? And how is it that we have gone from having debates and conversations and disagreements? And let's be honest, we live in a country where we have always had a difficult political discourse.
Yeah, no one's prepared to take the high moral ground, you see. The problem is we are now so divided, there is no reaching across the aisle, so to speak. The positions have been set.
Another writer that I'd be friends with from down the country, and she put up a post the last day about how my argument would always be there's two sides and the truth somewhere in the middle. And her point was very much that if you're in the middle, you don't have an opinion, and I'm not listening to you. And I'm so conflicted with that, because she's of the type of person that would call anybody who has a platform who isn't calling out about what she thinks is important as a coward. And I've had that as well. I've had, why aren't you using your platform for this? I use social media for fun. I go on to look at pictures of dogs and things like that because I have enough going on in my life, you know.
I get you.
So anyway, I've gone off.
No, you haven't. You've made your point, and we'll be back with more from our guests after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
Discover amazing deals at Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori, Strabane. Enjoy a 2-course menu for £19.95 Monday to Friday, €1 for pound night Wednesday and steak night Thursday. Sunday carvery from 12:30 to 3:30. Party packages and function rooms available. Call 02871 382905 to book.
September has arrived and your local Maple store has everything you need for a fresh new season. From tasty lunchbox fillers to warm autumn treats and all your everyday essentials. Maple has everything you need under one roof. Quick, easy and always local. Call into Maple Milford, Maple Express Carrygard, Falcarra Castlefin or your nearest Maple store. Keeping it fresh, local and convenient. Don't forget to follow your local Maple store on Facebook for exclusive monthly offers and updates.
Tá ardú cuimhní isce I bhaim go fóil limistéir bhailin an ngállóglach go dtí an tríúlá déag de dhearafór. Dawn an sa láthair isce a chosint do chríocha bunríochtanacha. Tá an tordú seo I bhaim margheall an aimsir hirim a bhí an le míana nuas. Rud a churann an inse isce faoi bhrú. Mar a miste leat ná bain úsáid as piabán nó as réadár. Agus cuimhní an tuisce nuair is féidir leat. Le chéile, is féidir linn ar nachhaine isce a chosint. Tuile ólas ag water.ie/WCO. Isce éireann. Séirbhí sé isce a thuláthar d'éireann.
Get ready, Donegal. The big Highland Bingo Party is here.
On Saturday the 29th of November, the Villa Rose Hotel Ballybofey transforms into the wildest Christmas party of the year.
Hosted by me, Keith Fletcher, Lee Gooch and Marty Friel on the decks.
Think festive cocktails, classic party anthems, ridiculous games of course and mad bingo mayhem.
Loads of prizes on the night with a €1,000 top cash prize up for grabs.
You better be quick. Tickets are on sale. Grab yours on Eventbrite or check out highlandradio.com.
The big Highland Bingo Party. Over 18s.
Ha! It's bingo, but not as you know it.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
The Mayo Blackface Sheep Breeders will hold a sale on Saturday, September 27th at Ballinrobe Mart, County Mayo. On offer will be 450 hoggets, 1,000 lambs and 300 aged ewes, including Mayo Blackface and Lanark types, plus 200 Mayo Connemara Blackface rams. This is a great opportunity to source quality stock for your flock.
Hillary's are on a mission to help the nation get window-wise. Get up to 40% off selected styles right now in our super sale, including up to 40% off our super stylish shutters. Plus, there's free thermal lining on our favourite Roman blinds and curtains. And grab an extra 10% off everything from now until the 29th of September. Don't forget, with Hillary's, expert measuring and fitting is always included. Book your free in-home appointment today at hillarys.ie. Conditions apply.
Host your next corporate meeting or event at Century Complex in Letterkenny. With 4 high-tech function rooms, we've got the perfect space for every group size and need. Professional, flexible and fully equipped all under one roof. Call Century Complex on 07491 21976 today for more information or to make a booking.
Joining Parkrun in partnership with VHI? Within 30 minutes after you train, eat carbs that absorb into your bloodstream quickly, like cereal, rice, or bread. This helps your body recover faster. For more running tips and content from VHI, search VHI blog.
Without people like you, our efforts would fall flat. But when people like you give blood, someone in need gets a lifeline. maybe someone just like you. We never get to choose when to need blood, but we can choose when to give. Find out how to become a donor at giveblood.ie. We count on you.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So mostly cloudy to begin today with outbreaks of rain. Many dry spaces though across the region with bright or sunny spells extending eastwards through the day. Temperatures 15 to 17 degrees. We're in the company of Maria Rush, Emer McGuinness, Councillor Micheál Colm, and Alan Aspect. Just on that last topic, are we finished on that, or did anyone feel that they didn't get to conclude their points? We're happy enough? Ish?
The only thing I would like to say is look, and I think Maria and Emer has said this very, very clearly. There is no threat to anybody by being respectful and having discussions. Look, I get on a very regular basis threats without shout of a doubt, but I do try to, and I know ones give out to me about this, but I try to engage them, to break it down, because the working class are not my enemy. The enemy of the working class is clearly the very elite and capitalism, and we should not be divided.
There's some people in the left of politics in this country are incredibly wealthy, even in this county alone. I still don't get that. Maybe you don't believe them to be true left.
Maybe you're mixing up the left and liberalism, because they're two very different economic positions. And I do think that it is important that the working class organises and that we're not misled by the very elite to look at other working class and poor people as our enemy.
But you're not poor,
we need
though.
to stop punching.
You're not poor.
Am I working class?
I don't know. Are you?
How am I not working class?
I don't know. It's not an accusation. It's a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I am working class, very working class. And I just think that we need to punch up and not punch down. And we need to find an economic model that suits all of us. And that's why I strongly sit on the left, because my interest is not to look after the interests of the wealthy, but to look after the interests of the working class. Are you prepared
to sit down around a table with people of the right and have a conversation?
I have no problem having conversations with those who are conservative and believe in a more right-wingish economic position. But what I would not and will not ever be interested in sitting down with is fascists.
Right. Jarlath Burns, by the way, has ruled himself out of the running to be the Sinn Féin candidate. It's a bit of a confusing one, because Mary Lou McDonald says what was to happen next would be a game changer. So it's not Jarlath. So it's either backing Catherine Connolly or Pearse Doherty running. Emer, just with that bit of news developing there, do you think they'll put Pearse forward, or is there a candidate we've not heard of that they might go for, or does it matter?
I don't know if there's a candidate we haven't heard for, but I do not believe that Pearse Doherty is the person. He's too important to politics, to the party, to put into, as I said to you before, Greg, the last month when we were on here, the president is somebody to meet and greet, and somebody that we respect, definitely. Somebody that we're proud of. We definitely would be proud of Pearse Doherty, don't get me wrong. But I think he's far too important in everyday politics to put into that role. So that is why I do not think he should be there.
So what's the game changer, Maria? That's what Mary Lou McDonald said yesterday. How could it be a game?
I haven't a clue. The presidential election I've been watching kind of from afar when I'm not working. I agree completely with Emer that Pearse would be the wrong person to put in there, but for the right reasons. I'm not in any way saying he wouldn't be a wonderful president. I think he would be a fantastic president, but I do believe he's much too important for Donegal, and for to be in. He needs to be where he is, if not on a different side. I don't know, but I don't know. At this point, I've kind of lost track of who is in. I don't. So
you're not engaged, which do you know? I think in and of itself is. I think in and of itself is significant answers, to be honest with you, because I think that's quite reflective of the mood out there today.
It's something. Sorry, the president is a role, and I agree again with Emer. I think it's an incredibly important role. So when I'm not engaged, it's not because I don't care. It's because I'm not seeing anybody yet that's making me go, yes, that person would be who I would like to represent us.
Who do you think the game changer or the game-changing move from Sinn Féin is, Micheál Colm? Backing Catherine Connolly, hardly. They couldn't frame that as a game changer, could they? No disrespect to Ms. Connolly, obviously.
Well, first thing I would say is that Catherine Connolly is, I'm clearly openly supporting Catherine Connolly. I've been out canvassing, I've been along with Catherine.
Just in relation to that, did you know, just in relation to that, like I was chatting to her and I was asking her would she scrutinise legislation or maybe refer it to the Supreme Court, and effectively her answer was no. Is that not just more of the same, whether you're left, middle or right?
Well, doesn't matter when you're in that mood.
Okay.
For me, the main thing here is because I haven't given any real interest to the presidential elections for the 26 counties before. But for me, I think the key thing here is that the main topic seems to be neutrality. And speaking to people from maybe a more traditional Fianna Fáil, not so many, but some from the Gaelers and Shinners, that they're saying clearly we're voting for Catherine Connolly. We want to send a clear message to the Dublin government that we don't want to see our neutrality taken away. We don't want the triple lock taken away.
But she
we
wouldn't.
Don't want to see women and men
I just have to
being
go
sent
very
to
quickly.
foreign countries
Of course,
to die.
but she. I asked her directly. I says if you are of the view that the removal of the triple lock goes against the Constitution, would you refer that decision to the Supreme Court as you could, to test it against the Constitution as you could as president? She said no.
Right, I haven't heard that interview, but my understanding clearly is by having conversations with Catherine Connolly over many years. I was very lucky enough that she launched my elections in 2019. And for me, the main topic here is, Emer's right, look, presidential is more an ornamental role, and I'm not being disrespectful to some aspects, but the key thing here and the main topic that I'm hearing at the door, which I'm very surprised and I'm very encouraged by it, that people are saying we are using the presidential election to send a strong message that our women and men are not going to be sent away to wars. That is
the
not
one
of our
thing she
interest,
has in her
and
gift,
neutrality needs to
the
be
one
protected.
gift she hasn't, the one thing she has in her gift of meaning would be to say, I don't agree with this. I believe it goes against the Constitution, and I'm referring this to the Supreme Court to test that. And she declined to say that she would do that.
I
But
think
anyway,
if
that's all.
the case,
Well,
that
that's
would be
fine.
very disappointing. But I do think from her support base that there would be would put her in a place that would absolutely have to push her to that position, because sending our working class kids to war in the interest of the very elite is not in our interest.
Understood. And you've had plenty of time. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Micheál Colin McGillen-Aspig. Thanks for accepting our invite to come on. Have a great weekend. Emer McGuinness, lovely to have you on as always. Take care of yourself. And Maria Rush, manager at Rush Fitness and PRO of the Donegal Women in Business Network. Thanks as always for your contribution. Have a lovely weekend and best wishes to all. News will be a little late. We'll be back with more after the news and the obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Let's talk about media literacy with Adult Literacy for Life. Media literacy helps us to better access services, figure out what's true, and engage confidently with media and information. Literacy is more than just reading and writing. Learn more about media literacy at adultliteracyforlife.ie. Supported by the Government of Ireland and Solus.
Liven up more fajita nights for less with these Lidl Plus Super Savers. Slice, sizzle and save with succulent Borbia approved chicken fillets, 1 kilogram, 25% off, now just $7.49. And turn up the taste with fresh, vibrant red peppers, 40% off, now 59 cents. Simply scan, pay and save with Lidl Plus.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore, 07495 325 75.
Elvis Spectacular live at Jackson's Hotel Friday, September 26th. Europe's top Elvis tribute returns to Ballybuffet with powerhouse vocals, 9-piece TCP band and the Sweet Sensations. Enjoy iconic hits, dazzling costumes and a Las Vegas experience for just €25. Book at jacksonshotel.ie for a non-forgettable night of Elvis magic.
McGowan Hearing, one of the longest established audiologists in the Northwest, now have weekly clinics in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonna. Book your free hearing aid consultation at one of these clinics or with audiologist Darren McGowan in your own home. Call 07191 00208 or visit mcgowanhearing.com.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, 2 minutes past 10, Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. A number of residents at a nursing home have been evacuated as a security alert continues in Tyrone this morning. It follows the discovery of a suspicious object at the Coolmore Park area of Omagh. Police cordons are in place. Army bomb experts have been called to the scene. Nicola Brogan is an MLA in West Tyrone.
The safety of local community and motorists is really, really important. So I do ask for members of the public to avoid this area and be patient as the police deal with the situation.
More local councils will today decide whether or not to back any independent candidates in the presidential election. Wexford and Waterford county councils will hear from some of those hoping to make it onto the ballot papers. Meanwhile, Sinn Féin is to announce tomorrow if the party will nominate its own candidate or back Catherine Connolly. Editor of the Business Post, Daniel McConnell, says there are a number of rumours swirling around as to what may happen.
The name that first came to a lot of people's mind was the name of Pearse Doherty, their finance spokesperson and Donegal TD, given the reference to Thon Long Gaeilge Egan Dinna, as Mary Lou MacDonald put it. Obviously, other people in the party have been mentioned as well. Mairead Farrell, who is their public expenditure and reform spokesperson, and then obviously the name Jarlath Burns has come back into the mix now. Jarlath Burns had previously ruled himself out.
A Donegal councillor says there is evidence that the far right is beginning to train militarily, and that's a very concerning prospect. Councillor Micheál Cullimgara-Asbach says there is no doubt that threat levels are rising against politicians and others, and last night's prime time, which showed how easy it is to obtain detailed personal information through mobile phone data gathering, is, he said, very concerning. Councillor Micheál-Asbach believes this is an issue which Gardaí need to take very seriously.
There is threats out there. The guards will not talk about this on radio, about any individual cases. There's threats right across the 26 counties, also within our own county. There are threats, and these threats need to be taken very, very, very serious. There is quite a lot of talk that the far right are now military training right across different parts of the country.
The Irish and British governments will set out a new framework on dealing with the legacy of the Troubles today. The move comes after months of speculation and pressure on both administrations to find common ground. With more, here's James Gould.
That pressure is centred around the deep opposition to the current Legacy Act. Victims' families, political parties and campaigners will be watching closely today to see if the proposals offer a genuine alternative or fall short of expectations. Senior figures, including DUP leader Gavin Robinson, have already warned this could be the last chance to deliver a credible solution that honours victims and provides certainty. The announcement will bring months-long discussions to an end between the two governments.
The Stormont Assembly has been told the current executive is failing across a number of areas, including health, education, transport and economic development. West Tyrone MLA Daniel McCrossan, a member of the SDLP opposition, says the First and Deputy First Ministers have tried to present themselves as leaders of an administration which is delivering. However, he says the truth is very different, particularly in the area of health.
On their watch, health waiting lists still among the worst in Europe with no credible plan to fix them. GP access, patients can't get appointments and services are collapsing in rural areas. Hospital reform, endless talk, no delivery, decisions are constantly delayed for political convenience. Social care is underfunded, overstretched and dependent on families to pick up the slack. Mental health services, strategy after strategy, yet services remain underfunded and in crisis. Addiction services are non-existent.
Almost 500 homes, businesses and farms on Arranmore Island can now access high-speed fibre broadband. National Broadband Ireland had already completed works in other parts of Donegal, including in Bunbeg, Creesla and Letterkenny. In total, they say €128 million is being invested in high-speed fibre broadband across the county. Weather forecast mostly cloudy to begin with outbreaks of rain. Top temperatures 15 to 17 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11. Check all the day's news on highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notice is for this Friday morning, September the 19th. The death has occurred of Bernard Dowds, Glenfin Street, Ballybuffet. Remains reposing at his late residence today from 2 o'clock to 9 o'clock and tomorrow from 12 noon until 4 o'clock. Removal at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon to arrive at the Church of Mary Immaculate Stranorlar at 5 o'clock to repose overnight. Requiem Mass on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. Interment in Stranorlar Cemetery. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, directly to the Donegal Hospice at idonate.ie or care of any family member. The death has taken place of Vera McElhinney, née Canning, Market Street, Rathmullen, reposing at her home today and tomorrow from 12 noon until 10 o'clock. Funeral Mass on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock in St Joseph's Church, Rathmullen, followed by burial in Rathmullen Cemetery. Mass can be viewed on MCN Media. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Breast Cancer Ireland, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Ellen Robinson, née McKeown, Pound Street, Dunfanaghy, formerly of Carrickfergus, County Antrim. Ellen is reposing at her home in Dunfanaghy, which is private place to family and friends. Funeral Mass in Holy Cross Church, Dunfanaghy, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. Burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Mass can be viewed on mcn.live. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Letterkenny Renal Dialysis Unit, care of any family member or James Harkin, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Kathleen Ruddy, née Gallagher, Ballylusky, Cardona. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to the Sacred Heart Church, Cardona, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on cardonaparish.com. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Ard Even Unit, Cardona, care of any family member or Blaine McCarran, Kelly's Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of George Doherty, Watt, Port Hall Glen, Buncrana. Remains will repose at his residence today from 12 noon until 10 o'clock. Funeral from his residence tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. And the death has taken place of Marion Johnston, née Hohay, de Ross, Rossbeg, County Donegal, formerly of Ballymore, Teelin. Her remains are reposing at St Connell's Church, Kilclunny. Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock this morning with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
There are silent conversations that happen on our roads every day between drivers and older pedestrians like me. When we catch each other's eye to say, "Do you see me?" or "I'm crossing." But when people don't look out for each other, those connections can be missed. And so can I.
Too many older pedestrians are being killed on our roads. When we look out for each other,
we keep each other safe.
Please look out for older pedestrians. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
And you have in your numbers. Thank you very much indeed. All very much appreciated. Can you ask me, whole column, where communism has ever been successful for the people of that country? Another, I think that Catherine Connolly will be a game changer. People will back Labour and not go for Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil or Sinn Féin. Catherine Connolly, well, I mean, we don't know what Sinn Féin's going to do. Obviously, Jarlath Burns, his name emerged yesterday. It's interesting language that Mary Lou McDonald used in saying that the decision tomorrow will be a game changer because it could be a bit of a damp squib, and I'm sure they don't want that. Are they going to run Pierce Doherty? It seems less likely. Are they going to back Catherine Connolly? Is that how you could frame a game changer? As you know, people have been anticipating that for some time. Or is there somebody else? I don't know. Simply don't know. It's all a bit of crack. I suppose it's all a bit of crack speculating. Speaking of the presidential election, by the way, as you would know, Gareth Sheridan, he's been in the race for quite some time, and he's got the backing of 2 councils. Now, Mr. Sheridan needs the backing of 4 councils to get onto the ballot paper. And he has a couple of meetings coming up. And my understanding is that Donegal County Council, that certain representatives within that council have been meeting to converse ahead of a meeting on Tuesday. And it is likely, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we'll return to this on Tuesday, it's likely that Gareth Sheridan between now and then will get the backing of a 3rd council, which means that Donegal County Council could be responsible for getting him onto the ballot paper. We understand that there have been meetings for those that have a vote, and that a meeting will take place on Tuesday to give support to Gareth Sheridan. As I say, he needs the backing of a 4th council to stand in the presidential election. So we'll be thrust into the media spotlight again because it could be our council that actually are the deciding factor there. Ask Mihal if he agrees with the consensus of excluding independent candidates from getting on the presidential election. I didn't get to that. My apologies. Another, the government and the Dáil are going to push hate speech and the end of free speech. Why don't they put it to the people? But that won't happen because the last referendum didn't go well. And if they put hate speech and the end of free speech to the people, it could go badly again. The thing that I find interesting about this, and I don't want to labour the point, I've talked about it quite a bit, it's just sometimes I feel I can see what's coming down the line. The presumption is at this point that it would be sort of conservative or not conservative, but sort of more left-leaning parties that would push for free speech. But the truth is you've got a very conservative government in the United States at the moment, and it's actually they are pushing for the restriction of language. Hundreds and hundreds of people have lost their jobs because they celebrated, which is sickening, the death of Charlie Kirk, but also to Donald Trump has control over the FCC, which effectively is the Commission the Man of Ireland. And now what you're seeing is TV shows that are critical of Donald Trump. They're being taken off air, which is not free speech. So, you know, there's a bit of cloak and dagger going on here. The presumption is it would be sort of left-leaning governments that would be pushing for free speech. But in fact, in America, it's a right government that is making some of the biggest inroads in restricting free speech. In other words, the price of the Second Amendment seems to be the First Amendment. The left aren't wealthy. How many of Sinn Féin TDs are worth $1 million? There's a few around here, says a listener. Charlie Kirk, he was a great debater when he was against children. Watch him debate adults and you see he falls apart quick as the propagandist he is. I think at the same time, though, he's still debating, and you don't always win your debates. But I think the argument being is that he would debate anyone. Stop spreading misinformation on the shooter. He was a Mormon from a MAGA family. His friends say that while he wasn't anti-gay, he was a liberal. His Discord logs show this as well. Like, seriously, stop spouting lies from a perjured FBI director who said Epstein didn't traffic anyone. He was registered as a non-Republican, non-democratic voter. It is accepted, and not just the FBI, that he was becoming more radicalized. He was living with a person who was born a male transitioning to female. And if you look at what he wrote on the bullets, they are certainly not MAGA terminology. I'm not going by what anyone says to me. I've just looked at it from multiple sources, etc. And he wasn't a member of MAGA. What your dad and your granny's into is not necessarily what you're into. The Charlie Kirk debate, Greg, I think a lot of people are missing the point on death. He wasn't killed because of opinions. He was killed because the nature of modern day America is to literally shoot first and ask questions later. He was an utterly heinous person who championed violence and oppression on anyone who didn't fit into his niche view of the world. But did he deserve to die? No. Was any humanly conscientious person horrified by the manner of his death? Yes. The problem is America in 2025 and the rhetoric being spoon-fed to the masses by that buffoon in the White House. Well, that's your view, of course. And the question was literally as you've just outlined. That is the way people are dealing with politics now. Are we going to see it happen like that here? Shoot first, ask questions later. What Micheál Colm is saying is divide and conquer. He means to conquer the less well-off. Many people don't understand what is happening, but that's what Micheál meant. Yes, but the point being is there are people of all different backgrounds who are less well-off, right? So you can be working class, you can be poor, you can be in poverty, but you might have different political views to another person, or you're on about dividing within that subset of people. I don't see what's achieved by that. Greg, seriously, stop both-siding these violent thugs. Statistically, the violence is almost entirely on the right, and you lot in the media pretending this is a both-sides issue is exactly the problem. You lot let violence rhetoric from the right sit there and go unchallenged for the last 2 decades. Firstly, I haven't been doing this for 2 decades. And secondly, I don't see any violence out there. I see rhetoric at this point, and what I do observe, and I make no bones about it, is very strong language from both sides. Now, whether that it's the right or the left that turns into some sort of violence or what have you, I don't know, but I can only go by the discourse that I see out there. Is Micheál Colm serious? Such a mouthful. The vast majority of people are not far right. They're concerned for what the country is becoming. Every house you go into around the county, people talk about the state of Letterkenny and how it's in decline and being flooded with immigrants, but are afraid to open their mouths in public because you'll be called a racist. Problems are developing already. Schools are full to the max, increasing delays with doctors and hospitals. Students can't get accommodation because it's all being taken up. Just before I take the break, it's interesting that last week someone was talking about bullying in school, and I was speaking from my narrow perspective of what I've experienced, and I said that I thought that nowadays we are better at managing bullying in the school environment. And I was speaking more secondary school, and as I say, I was speaking just really of my own personal experience. But it's astonishing, really, of all the comments that we might have and read out and things that I might say that are slips or conversation starters or continuers. I got pulled up on that one by a number of parents, and it particularly was parents of children in primary school and parents of children maybe with autism or some other learning difficulties. So they might be in a special class in a mainstream school. And as I say, a couple of, not angrily, but very passionately, parents pulled me up and says, no, actually what's happening is that, I had to move my child from this school or that school, or my child's suffering in this school or that school because they are in a special class, and that maybe mainstream classes, the students within them aren't being educated enough to understand that there are differences in this, that and that. So firstly, apologies if I tried to make out there wasn't a problem where one might exist, but also if there is a particular issue, and it's only education, right? Kids are like sponges. We can teach them the right thing. But there seem to be a lot of, I engaged 3 people, so I always work that out as a percentage. 3 parents of children with special needs in mainstream schools or not, and they said bullying was very much a problem in that environment. Not exclusively kids with additional needs, but that's what was raised to me. So firstly, if that's a thing, I apologise that I wasn't aware of that. But secondly, maybe it's something we need to talk about, increase education, and maybe try and eliminating as best we can it happening. Anything you want to say on that? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. And just to recap that news, we understand that Donegal County Council is to meet on Tuesday, and they will have the power to get Gareth Sheridan, with 2 councils on board at the moment, a third to follow, over the line and onto the ballot paper. We understand that meetings have been ongoing to sort of work out the numbers and make that happen.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday, September 19th. Playing on the yellow sheet. Reference number is S10. It's week 38. Today's numbers are 65, 73, 26, 78, 50, 16, 18, 29, 5 and 43. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
When the time comes, the last thing you want is for your family to worry about funeral costs. That's why On Post Insurance offers funeral insurance for those aged 50 to 75. A simple way to help ease the burden for the people you care about most. Take a moment today to plan ahead. Call 0818 22 22 22 or visit onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as On Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of On Post. Funeral insurance is underwritten and provided by New Ireland Assurance Company plc. On Post Insurance is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc for life assurance business.
It's colourless, it's odorless, it's hard to detect. So carbon monoxide deserves your respect. It could kill you stone dead in just 3 minutes flat. And if you don't believe me, ask me dear Uncle Pat. Tagging you. Coal, turf, oil, gas, even wood, any fuel can harm. So get yourself a carbon monoxide alarm, or you might just wake up dead.
We wish you a... It may be too early for Christmas carols, but it's never too early to start the Christmas shopping. Save hundreds, possibly thousands of euro shopping online with Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save on delivery and on customs tariffs this Christmas with Hub Derry. Open Monday to Saturday, collect at your convenience. Find us on Facebook and Google Hub Derry.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Now, recent developments in Letterkenny University Hospital should pave the way to easier access to diabetes technology, which can help local people with type 1 diabetes manage their condition more effectively. Dr. Thomas Griffin, consultant physician and diabetologist at University Hospital Galway, joins me now. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be on with you today.
Right. Type 1 diabetes, could you just outline for us what that is, how it affects people?
Sure. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition where the pancreas stops making insulin. So an autoimmune condition is a condition where where your body attacks its own pancreas. So if you don't have insulin, you need to find a way to get insulin. So instead of having your own insulin, you have to give some injections to replace the insulin that your body would normally make. And managing this is a constant amount of work. So you have to inject one long-acting injection every day to give you a background insulin, and then a short-acting injection with your meals. And that would typically be 3 to 4 times a day. And you need to try and match this insulin with the amount of food that you're taking. Also, as part of that, you need to monitor what your glucose levels are. And traditionally, this was with finger pricking. So you'd make a small little, you get a lancet, you do a small prick on the side of your finger, and the blood would go from the lancet into your blood glucose meter, and you get a reading. And based on the reading, then you could make adjustments to your blood, to the amount of insulin that you're going to take. Type 1 diabetes is actually relentless. People often describe it as a full-time job with no holiday. You can't take a break for a single day because your body has no insulin, so you need to keep replacing it. And there's constant worries that your blood glucose level will go a bit too high or a bit too low. So it's always something that's playing in your mind, and it's always in the background.
So in terms of its management, how much wiggle room is there? Like, can someone become quite sick quite quickly?
So someone can become, so if a person doesn't get to take their insulin for a day, for example, and they live with type 1 diabetes, they can become very sick very quickly. Right. So again, it's really important that a person living with type 1 diabetes takes their insulin. But it is a relentless burden. It's it's a huge cognitive load that a person living with type 1 diabetes has to take. And with that in mind, I guess the stage is set for new technologies which can help a person living with diabetes live better. So it's invisible from the outside, 24/7 condition, and that never lets up.
All right. Now, we're speaking ahead of a meeting in the Mount Ergala Hotel on Thursday. It's at 6:15 p.m. and it's directed or aimed at people living with diabetes and their families. So what has changed that makes, I suppose, access to technology to manage this condition? What has changed? What have been the developments?
So there's been some game-changing developments in the management of type 1 diabetes over the last number of years. And we're very lucky in Ireland that we can bring some of these changes to people living with type 1 diabetes in the country. So I think, Greg, the first thing, so if you have a blood glucose meter, it's like me asking you to drive from your studio there to Dublin and telling you that you need to go to Monaghan and that you need to go to Athlone on the way and giving you no further directions. So you have 4 points in the day. And now we've got this thing, it's like a sat nav. So instead now, if you're having 4 points, you'll have a full map. And this is called a continuous glucose monitor. So it gives you a map of your glucose levels over the day. So it's a small sensor where the tip of it just goes under the surface of the skin, and it checks your blood glucose levels every couple of minutes and sends the results to your phone or a little personal device that you'll have. It can also set some alarms. So if your blood glucose level is going too high or your blood glucose level is going too low, it can send you a little alert so you'll know that that's happening. What it means for the person living with diabetes is instead of finger pricking, they're having to finger prick maybe 8, 10, 12, 15 times a day, people can now just use the sensor, which lasts for between kind of 7 to 14 days, depending on the specific sensor that you have. But by far, possibly the more even exciting development again, which has probably come to Ireland over the last 4 years, is called hybrid closed loop insulin pump therapy. Your listeners might be familiar with the term artificial pancreas, and that's what hybrid closed loop is referred to. So this links your continuous glucose monitor, which we talked about already, which reads your glucose levels, to an insulin pump. An insulin pump is a small device. It's like the old bleeps or pagers you'd see on the ads on TV. So it's about that size, and it gives you a continuous infusion of short-acting insulin under the surface of your skin. But the beauty about these new pumps actually is they have an algorithm. So again, if your blood glucose levels on your continuous glucose monitor are high, the hybrid closed loop can give you a little bit more insulin. And if they're low or predicted to go low, the hybrid closed loop pump can actually stop or suspend the insulin. So it really helps to maintain people on a steady glucose level.
But it also allows people to get on with their lives.
Oh, and absolutely.
Rather than constantly feeling they have to actively monitor this situation. I presume after a while and after you build trust with the technology, you can just progress with your life as best as is possible.
So what we like to say is it takes away a lot of the thinking and worrying so people can get on with the living. So it really, really helps take away that cognitive load. And we've done some work. I used to work in Leicester in the UK. And when I was in Leicester, we did some work where we interviewed some people who use hybrid closed loop, and the kind of feedback that we get from the people and also the partners of the people who are using the hybrid closed loop. And the feedback was amazing. So some of the things people would say is the first time I've got a full night's sleep. I really feel more on top of my condition. I'm far less worried about the health problems that I'll have in the future. And partners would tell you that they were less worried about their child, for example, because they feel that the parent, I should say in this case, less worried about their child because they were less worried that person would get a low blood glucose level overnight. And again, there's these things called following functions in the phone. So a parent can follow their child's glucose or insulin level remotely. So if they're in school, for example, they can keep an eye on things if they want it. And that type of thing is very, very reassuring for parents of people who live with type 1 diabetes.
What's the story with access to that? So say someone now is listening to type 1 diabetes, can they get it through the HSE, so to speak? Is this an addition? Is this private, or what's the story?
So I'll answer a couple of parts of that. So continuous glucose monitoring is the first part. The government have committed to fund continuous glucose monitoring for all people living with type 1 diabetes in Ireland, which is a really, really great achievement. And I think we need to be cognizant that across the world, this isn't the case that all people living with type 1 diabetes can get a CGM. So we're very, very fortunate in Ireland. In terms of hybrid closed loop, there's good access to that as well. It's funded through the HSE. Lots of centres are working really, really hard to give people access to hybrid closed loop therapy across Ireland. Again, it's a new technology, so it takes a little bit of time to get everyone access, because there's 30 to 35,000 people living with type 1 diabetes in the country, and the number of people getting access to hybrid closed loop pump or getting onboarded on hybrid closed loop is increasing every week.
Okay, so there's no real sell here as such. Like, the idea is that if you have type 1 diabetes or someone in the family does, this technology is or will be available to you at some point, and that's why it's a good idea to get along to this meeting on Thursday. Is that where we're at then?
That's certainly true. There is a small number of people where this technology isn't suitable. So some people don't like, you have to wear the pump all of the time. So some people don't like having a device attached to them. Some people are getting on exceptionally well with their daily injections and really, really like that and really, really happy. What this does is it provides people with another option, another tool in our armory to help people living with type 1 diabetes to live better. So that's the goal, is to give people choices and help the person. And again, if you come along to this event on Tuesday, it's about helping the person to pick the technology and so on.
So just to clarify, sorry,
to live with.
I just want to, because I don't. Right, I've got Thursday, the 25th of September. You said Tuesday.
Apologies, yes. Sorry, I'm really sorry.
No, Thomas, normally I'm the wrong one. Normally I'm the wrong one. That's okay. Okay.
Sorry, it's definitely me. It's
but
Thursday,
do you know what?
Isn't
Isn't it welcome to be talking about an area of health, especially in such a serious condition where we are making progress, that there are, and as you say, look, it's not going to be for absolutely everyone, but I'm sure there's people who feel that, as you say, their sleep's improved, their life is generally improved, they feel they can get on with life rather than sort of being constantly anchored by this condition.
I think the thing you see is that a person's glucose levels improve dramatically once they go onto this technology. And I think the thing about that is, we know that having higher glucose levels over a long period can be associated with kind of developing complications of diabetes. This technology allows a person to get their glucose levels down, which over the long period will help that person reduce the risk of developing any complications of diabetes. So again, it takes away a lot of the thinking and worrying. So people can get on with living their lives.
Just one question, if you don't mind. My daughter has a real hatred for the pump, specifically the tubing. She refuses to use it. Will the Omnipod ever be available here in the Republic?
So that's a really, really good question, actually. We're very, very hopeful that a patch pump, so I should maybe explain the difference for your listeners about what the question is. So the pumps that are available in Ireland at the moment, as I said before, are kind of like the old bleeps or pagers. There's a little bit of tubing that goes from the bleep or pager, and a little needle that goes under the surface of the skin, and the insulin goes through that. So you have a little bit of tubing. What your listener is referring to is a patch pump that sits directly on your arm, a bit like this, and there's no tubing there. At present, we don't have patch pumps in Ireland, but we're very hopeful that they will become available in the short to medium term. And I think they will be very, very helpful as well.
Oh, that's what they are. I have seen people in different environments with them on the patch pump. And sorry, I should have asked this earlier on. I've been focusing on type 1 diabetes. Is this type of technology useful for the treatment of other types of diabetes? A caller's got type 3 and is wondering, what's the situation there?
That's a good question. So what we know at the moment is that CGM can be useful for people living with type 2 diabetes. That's not funded in Ireland at the moment, and not funded in a lot of countries around the world for people living with type 2 diabetes. Your caller has type 3, which typically is a pancreatic type of diabetes rather than type 2. And again, there is evolving evidence of the usefulness of CGM, certainly, and also potentially of the usefulness of hybrid closed loop insulin pumps in people with type 3 diabetes.
Yeah, okay. It's interesting because we're talking about advances in technology, and that advancing continues. Okay, so that meeting,
advancement, Greg, it's actually going at a spectacular rate. These are hybrid closed loops. So again, hybrid. So when we call it hybrid, people still have to tell the pump that they're having meals. There's evolving evidence now of kind of a fully closed loop pump, so people won't have to alert the pump that they have meals. So again, the technology has improved more in the last 10 years than probably in the previous 90 years in terms of managing type 1 diabetes. It's really an extraordinary time.
The further incorporation of artificial intelligence and stuff, it really is quite exciting times. If you want to learn more about this technology, there is a free technology information meeting. It's at the Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny on Thursday, the 25th of September. It runs from 6:15 p.m. and it's really for people living with diabetes and their families. Broadly speaking, or specifically type 1 for this particular meeting, Thomas?
So again, anyone living with diabetes who'd like to see about the technology is certainly more than welcome to attend, but it is designed for people who live with type 1 diabetes or the partners or carers of people who live with type 1 diabetes.
Thanks for your time today. Have a great weekend. Look after yourself.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. That's Dr. Thomas Griffin, a consultant physician, diabetologist at University Hospital Galway. It's astonishing. We couldn't have had that conversation 10 years ago because that technology and that means of treatment simply didn't exist.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
ESB Networks has now installed over 2 million smart meters in homes, farms and businesses across Ireland. With a smart meter, you're in control. Track your daily, weekly and monthly usage so you can choose the right electricity plan for your home. Sign up to a free ESB Networks online account today and see how your smart meter can work for you. ESB Networks. Energising your everything.
Discover a new way to cook outdoors with the Ninja Woodfire Electric Barbecue Grill, now at Ben Sweeney Euronics. It's a grill, smoker and air fryer all in one, with 7 cooking functions, no charcoal, gas or flames needed. Woodfire technology delivers real smoky flavour anywhere, in the garden, patio or in the campsite. Weather resistant and ready year round. Get the Ninja Woodfire Electric Barbecue Grill at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Letterkenny and Dunlow.
Get ready for the Donegal League at Brian McCormick Sports. BMC Teamwear, fully personalised kits with matching training packs. Call in to our Teamwear room or send us your wish list to teamwear@bmcsports.ie. Brian McCormick Sports, sponsor of Donegal League Premier Division.
Around the Northwest with John Bresden live this Friday at Irvine Expert Electrical Letterkenny for the Big Build Weekend from 12 to 2:30. There'll be unbeatable offers across the store, expert advice and the latest home appliance innovations. It's all happening this Friday and Saturday at Irvine Expert Electrical.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Give us a call if you prefer to on 07491 25,000. Right. We are joined on the programme now by Shannon McGee, who's manager of Poblaskara and member of the Tin Chan campaign. Good morning to you, Shannon. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Craig.
It's good to have you with us. Right, okay. Now, a national protest for the Irish language and the Gaeltacht. There'll probably be a national protest about my pronunciations in that introduction. I hope not. But talk to me about this event that's taking place.
Well, it's taking place tomorrow. We're going to be meeting at 1:30 in Dublin. There are buses going from Northwest Donegal here, at least 2 buses, if not more. The last time it was on in Dublin, a protest for the Gaeltacht and the Irish language, there was around 10,000 people at it. So, we're hoping for good numbers. The main reasons why we're mobilising people here, are, well, primarily because of the housing situation, particularly in the Gaeltacht here. Some Gaeltacht areas have up to 70%, of the houses are holiday homes in them. There's massive pressure on people in terms of the high rents, the high cost of buying, building, problems with planning permission, obstacles to people when they want to build houses on their own land in rural Gaeltacht areas. And it's affecting the transmission of the language to the next generation. In the last 2 censuses, the number of daily Irish speakers dropped quite significantly in this area here, So we're really concerned about the future of this as a Gaeltacht area. Will it be a Gaeltacht area in the future? And people need, their houses for, to have a decent standard of living, obviously, for the community to continue to function. So that's really the main reason. But also, there's a lot of obstacles and problems and neglect in the Irish language in education, cuts to resources for teaching through Irish, more pressure to spend more time in other languages, including French and things like that. And then also just cuts to funding, like funding for Údarás na Gaeltacht over the years has been cut massively, Forest na Gaeilge as well. The Irish language communities in this country, the Gaeltacht communities and Irish speakers seem to be, the weak link in the chain for the government, and whenever they want to cut back, we're the victims of it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we can look at key indicators, can't we? The number of children in Gaelscoileanna, as you've already referenced, the use of the language. These are all powerful indicators. This is a language and areas retracting, not growing.
Yeah, well, in one sense, it's a complicated picture because I think outside of the Gaeltacht, the Irish language is definitely growing in popularity. People say the Irish language is having a moment. They talk about the kneecap effect. There's a lot in popular culture, definitely there's a lot more people who want to speak Irish and want to use what Irish they have. But Irish as a community language, as a home language in its heartlands, is definitely not going in the right direction. And we can point out the reasons for that. The reasons for it are clear. There's massive disadvantage in these areas. There's the problems with housing. There's a lot of emigration out of these areas. There's a lack of state support. It seems to us in the Chin Chan campaign and everyone who's coming to this protest, really, it's very clear to us that the government has no vision for the Gaeltacht areas at all. We're just an afterthought, if that.
It's quite interesting because we have spoken to principals of Gael schools and what have you that are almost having to, dig into their pockets to incentivise students into the area because the people aren't able to live in their area for the reasons you've outlined. A lot of holiday homes unable to build on their own property, for an example. So to actually ensure the survival of what's there, we're seeing schools having to come up with schemes really they shouldn't have to out of their own resources to try and keep open effectively.
Yeah, I'm sure that's happening, but one of the strange things about this is that, in terms of surveys of what parents want across the country, and I'm talking about outside the Gaeltacht areas, a huge portion of parents want education through Irish for their children. They want Gael scolanna, but I was recently speaking to Brendan O'Duffy from Monaghan, who was the principal of a couple of different Gael schools during his life, and helped found a few Gael schools. And he said that the process for setting up schools has become so much more convoluted and so much more challenging that it's very, very difficult to set up Gael schools now. They have to reach a certain criteria, and even though more parents than ever want Irish medium education, the state is effectively not allowing it to happen.
Okay. The national protest for the Irish language and the Gaeltacht is tomorrow from 1:30, walking from Parnell Square to Leinster House. Presumably anyone down there or wishing to travel down there would be well received. Thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Slán, thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye. Take care. Right, that is Shannon McKee there. Right, let's get... Actually, I'll take the break. I'll take the 1:45 break, and I've come back with more and more of your comments. We've got lots and lots of people messaging in today. Greatly appreciated. I do want to play a request because I forgot to at 10. Louise Doherty from Manacunningham is 30 today. Happy 30th birthday, Louise, from your husband, Michael, Farah and Zach. And another one for you, this time from your mum and father-in-law in Muff, from your mother and father-in-law in Muff. Okay, back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Residential property owners. The deadline for submitting your local property tax return is the 7th of November. The easiest way to submit your return is online. Before you file, you'll need to determine the valuation band of your property. For more information, visit www.revenue.ie/LPT or call Revenue on 01 738 3626. Submit your local property tax return by the 7th of November.
My home is my castle. My sing in the shower place or work in my undies place. My pizza for breakfast, cornflakes for dinner place. My home is my me place.
With AXA Home Insurance, you can protect the place where you can truly be yourself and get 24-hour emergency home assistance as standard. Get a quote online or call into your local branch. AXA. Know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. AXA Insurance Stock is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hi, Michael here from iMotors. I would like to invite you up to our used car sales event.
The big end of summer sales event with fantastic offers. Customers from all over the Northwest are coming. Over €200,000 in reductions. Plus, spin the wheel for cash and prizes with every purchase. September 13th to 21st. Don't miss out. Visit us at iMotors.
iMotors. Fearless generation.
Get ready, Donegal. The big Highland Bingo Party is here.
On Saturday the 29th of November, the Villa Rose Hotel Ballybofey transforms into the wildest Christmas party of the year.
Hosted by me, Keith Fletcher, Lee Gooch and Marty Friel on the decks.
Think festive cocktails, classic party anthems, ridiculous games of course, and mad bingo mayhem.
Loads of prizes on the night with a €1,000 top cash prize up for grabs.
You better be quick. Tickets are on sale. Grab yours on Eventbrite or check out highlandradio.com.
The big Highland Bingo Party. Over 18s.
Ha ha! It's bingo, but not as you know it.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenney's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Right, now the weather forecast for today reads as follows. Mainly dry over this region with some bright or sunny spells, which will extend eastwards during the day. Temperatures 15 to 17 degrees, and we can anticipate a bit of high pressure over the weekend, or certainly heading into next week, but it doesn't equal high temperatures. It's actually going to be colder than average, but nice and bright. Owen Corrie's commentator on travel and aviation, and every time, or at least the last twice I've introduced you onto the show, it's off the back of a weather forecast. I assure you, Owen, if you've noticed, it's an absolute coincidence, but it's something I can't help but notice. How are you? Are you muted, Owen? Do I have to come round there and unmute on your behalf?
Hopefully I bring a little bit of sunshine after your weather forecast.
Okay.
Yeah, not that it ever rains in beautiful Donegal.
Of course it doesn't. We don't admit to it anyway. I travelled through Belfast last week or the week before, and it was a treat because just throw the bags into the carousel. Didn't have to remove anything from the bags or what have you. Thought this is fantastic, and it's something we're going to see now in Dublin Airport as well.
Absolutely. All 33 security lanes now have the new scanners. They also have changed the rules so that you can carry up to 2 litres liquid. As you say, the 2 Belfast airports introduced this at the beginning of June, and Derry got it at the beginning of June as well. Donegal was sort of a pioneer in all of this. They were one of the first airports to get the new scanners. But what happened, Greg, was a little bit complicated. We had this clearance at the beginning of last summer that you could bring up to 2 litres liquids through security. Then in September, the European Union said, hey, there's a big problem with some of the bigger bottles, so we're introducing the laws again. That changed last June. Some airports have it, some don't. The big news this morning is Dublin now has it for all 33 security lanes, because they only had the new scanners in Terminal 2 and half of Terminal 1. They now have fitted the entire airport. A few changes in the layout with that.
Yeah, indeed. And is this down to just advances in technology, or maybe the new way short haul carriers are trying to get people to carry bags and what have you? Maybe they're putting the pressure on. What has driven this change? Mm. Of course, yes. Thankfully, they didn't bang cheese and biscuits. If I were to took, if I were to took 1 litre, say a 1 litre bottle, into the side panel of a backpack, would that be okay, or would that be okay? So it wouldn't have to actually be in. You know how you. Okay, right, brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Now, but I mean, obviously, it's very important what you've pointed out. Actually, in terms of the airport you're coming back from, might not quite be the same. I'm heading out to Greece, says the listener, and apologies those watching the show at the moment are just not getting Owen's audio. That's my problem. You're coming out perfectly in Radio Land. It's nothing to do with you, Owen. It's on our end. I'm just letting our viewers... That won't help. I'm going to Greece. I'll be all right going out, but what about coming back? Listen, Owen, thank you so very much for your time. Always, I love having you on. Thank you very much. I just still have to get into that bottle of fancy wine yet. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Again, my apologies if you're watching the show. There was no sound from Owen there. That was just... it's something that I can resolve. Trust me. I swear, for our next guest. Right, let's get to some of your comments. Greg, surely Deputy Danny Healy-Rae should be made resign for his comment suggesting a possible link between autism and vitamins. This uneducated view is so damaging to families. I didn't hear his view, and I would hope that, although people take people's word as gospel, I would hope that people would do their own research in relation to that. Greg, we raised funds for a defib, and the pads are due to be replaced on August 2026, hopefully not needed between now and then. Just wondering, is there anybody that supplies these free of charge, or is it a case of having to fundraise for them again? I'm not sure. Let us, someone out there knows. We've got a massive, thankfully, and thanks to the public mostly, a network of defibs around the country. What is the story with pads? They don't have to be changed for a year, but this listener wants to know, are there free pads available, or does someone have to fundraise for them? I remembered, it's not that long ago, that there was a couple of defibs were broken into and fresh pads taken and out-of-date pads replaced. It was a bizarre story. I'm not sure we ever got to the bottom of that. But anyway, listen, sorry to distract from the question. How do you replenish pads for a defib? Do you have to buy them, fundraise for them, or is there anywhere that supplies them for free? How come in America it's the far left that's causing all the problems with their woke agenda and trying to do away with free speech, but the tide is turning on that? As I say, the biggest at the moment, and from an outsider looking on, those that are anti-free speech at the moment in America are of the right. They're getting people's shows taken off air. They get people banned from social media. They're getting people sacked from their jobs for expressing views. At the moment, it's actually the right that seems to be, ironically, anti-free speech. Another caller says, Donegal County Council are going to vote to get Gareth Sheridan over the line. Another one with a woke liberal groupthink mindset. Why can't we have a real independent alternative like Maria Steen? Remember, the majority of Donegal people voted for the protection of the unborn. Once again, we've nobody to represent the silent majority, believes that listener. Game changer in the presidential election, Jerry Adams, asks a listener. That name did come to mind, but I can't make it make sense at this time. It would just involve a great deal of scrutiny, and whilst there are elements of that party that want sort of more of a connection to the past, there are those that perhaps don't want certain things dragged up. Hi, Greg. Ask if there's any chance the access of insulin pubs will be coming to Letterkenny sooner. Is it going to be Galway for the foreseeable, as they need all follow-ups in Galway instead of Letterkenny University Hospital? I'll try and get an answer to that. Hi, Greg. Could you please ask the doctor? Oh, I asked that one already. Another, maybe Simon Harris did get threats, I don't know. He's a great spoofer. He talks away about misinformation, but he is the king of it, along with a lot of his friends. Now, threats are not good for anybody, but they are not doing themselves any favours. It's all about them, the people being fed up. But again, that's apologetic language to say it's wrong, but it's understandable. And we've slipped really down that route. You know what? It's going to be very hard to get anyone into politics in the not too distant future. Whether that's a good thing or not, you'll have to make up your own mind. Miho Column, you are far left, but no one shouts that at you. But what makes your view any better than mine? And can I say, as an independent arbitrator, nothing. Everybody's views are valid, and that's why we platform them. Another caller says social media is the reason we are all at each other's throats. It's an easy way to spill bile on each other with no accountability. The creation of fake accounts is too easy. Social media is responsible for 99% of where we're at now. That's a whole debate or podcast in and of itself, in that maybe, you know, the good thing is that people have access to information themselves or can platform their own information. But obviously there's negative elements that I don't know the up, downs, ins and outs, but either way, it is here now. But I think it's responsible for an awful lot of negativity.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
If you're going through a difficult time, you're not alone. There are now more mental health support services available for men. These include free counselling sessions, in person or online, as well as confidential phone support, available 7 days a week. Getting support can make a real difference to you and your loved ones. To find out more about the full range of free services available, visit yourmentalhealth.ie/men. From the HSE.
Do you sometimes struggle to hear? It could just be earwax and it's easily treated. Hidden Hearing right now are offering free earwax removal for everyone over 60, carried out by our qualified earwax technicians. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie. Hidden Hearing, your hearing is our expertise. T's and C's apply.
I need somebody to love.
Are you excited about the Dream Sleep event beds?
Yeah, we're made up.
I bet you are. This week, get 20% off all bed frames and divans when bought with a mattress. But hurry, offer ends Tuesday. Wow! Dreams. Love your bed.
If you know the beauty and skincare product that suits you best, you'll find them at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From moisturisers, cleansers and toners to day creams and night creams, McGee's have the top brands you know and love, like Lancôme, Clarins and La Roche-Posay. Also Elizabeth Arden, Vichy, Nukes and many more. All at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less.
The County Donegal Blackface Sheep Breeders Association annual female sale of cast ewes, hoggets and ewe lambs will take place in Ballybuffet and Stranraer Mart on Friday the 19th of September at 6 p.m. 3 lambs will be sold on the day in aid of the Donegal Hospice. That's this Friday the 19th at Ballybuffet and Stranraer Mart.
The Super Value French wine sale is now on, with Claude Violade Malbec from the Languedoc region just €8, Remy Ferbra Vaquera from the Rhone Valley €10, and André Guachot Chablis from Burgundy only €15. Exceptional value in-store and online. Santé, Super Value, real savings, real difference. Please drink responsibly.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Right, it is 11 o'clock. We've another hour to go, of course, on this Friday show. But at 11 o'clock, let's get that news update now, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Residents at a nursing home in Omagh have been evacuated as a result of a security alert today. It follows the discovery of a suspicious object in the Coolmore Park area. Police cordons are in place and army bomb experts have been called to the scene. The Tusla project in Carndonagh is set to go ahead after a pre-tender approval was announced by Minister Derek O'Leary this morning. The regeneration plans have been in motion for quite a number of years, with €9.6 million allocated to deliver a new multi-use hub. However, it was delayed by planning issues which have now been resolved by uncommissioned Plan Óla. Minister Charlie McConalogue is hopeful there will be significant progress in the coming months. GA President Jarlath Burns has again indicated he will not be seeking a nomination for the presidential election campaign. There had been some speculation once again that he would be the person named when Sinn Féin unveil their supported candidate tomorrow. Mary Lou McDonald yesterday said it would be a game changer, indicating that the candidate would have the Irish language. Speculation is now again focusing on Donegal TD Pearse Doherty and a number of other deputies who are fluent or semi-fluent in Irish. Taoiseach Simon Harris says a major day is ahead as the Irish and British governments prepare to reveal a new framework for dealing with Trouble's legacy issues. The details will be revealed later today by Simon Harris and Northern Ireland Secretary Hilary Benn. Both administrations have been working on a deal to reset how legacy issues are dealt with. A Donegal councillor says there's evidence that the far right is beginning to train militarily, and that's a concerning prospect. Councillor Micheál Cullumagla Aspag told today's 9 till noon show there is no doubt that threat levels are rising against politicians and others, and last night's primetime programme, which showed how easy it is to obtain personal information through mobile phone data gathering, is concerning. He says it's an issue the Gardaí need to take more seriously, and Councillor Micheál Aspag believes some members of the working class are being manipulated by the elite into believing that their interests lie in supporting the far right. He says that's a political perspective that he wants to challenge. And illegal tobacco with an estimated street value of £165,000 sterling has been seized in Derry. Police say they conducted a search of a vehicle in the area and a quantity of illegal contraband cigarettes and rolling tobacco was seized. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Thank you, Donald. We'll be back after this really short break.
If you were given a €10,000 grant right now to help boost your business, what would you do with it? Interesting. Three's Grants for Small Businesses is back, and we're giving away another €100,000 in cash, products and solutions from Three to 10 small businesses across Ireland to help their business take off. Apply now at 3.ie/business. Three Business, where connections come to life. Winner selected by judging panel on review of applications. See 3.ie for terms.
Rightio, welcome back to the show. Let's have a look at some more of your comments coming in. It's been really busy. Thank you so very much indeed. And sorry if I'm repeating myself in relation to that. I just want to agree with Micheál Column. No air for fascists. Hopefully Catherine Connolly will be elected president. What a load of left-wing Republican claptrap. That councillor spoke. Right-wing military training. Sure they are. That comes in from Rain Buncrana. Great show this morning, Greg. Micheál Column was excellent. Be ideal man for president. A people's person. Mary Lou should run for the Aris herself. She would give the rest a run for their money. I could see her in the Phoenix Park. Now, Greg, as well as all the so-called threats mainstream media are not helping, if RTE and Virgin Media told me it was raining, I would go outside and check. Another, when politicians break their promise to the people that have elected them, they are committing violence on them and causing real hardship and trauma to them. And it's also very personal. Any politician who breaks their promises should be thrown out of power within 6 months. But you can see that language where you could end up in a certain place, right? What about Enoch Burke, J.K. Rowling, and the recent arrest of Father Ted Creator? Didn't hear your panel mention the injustices they have suffered. J.K. Rowling is a multi-billionaire. She's all right. She's not suffering any injustice, though she is very vocal in her space. I don't know what Enoch Burke is up to this weather, to be honest with you. And the Father Ted creation, I can't remember his name. Oh, God, what is his name? Can't remember. Anyway, he's back in America where he lives now. Regarding the little Tusla children, it is the elected Taoiseach's fault. Which one? I don't know, as there's two Taoiseachs now. When they're looking for votes, they need a good socialist strategist who will go to these areas and talk to the community and put their problems to the running candidate, who should put money into these areas and implement the necessary reforms they need. Another caller says one of the biggest issues is a lack of caring. It's a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job and nothing else. No one has empathy anymore. On that same issue, Tusla have been declining in its ability now for years, says a listener. Many people are going into positions which they're not qualified for. They may have paper qualifications but are not suited or capable of the job or for the job. Another, is Tusla looking after is Tusla looking after every child in the country, or are they private organisations that look after our children? in terms of who is looking after them. In terms of who's looking after them, I think really the Tusla obviously are the body that engages, right? Too many children are missing under Tusla. Why is more not being done? It's like no one cares about the children. They are a statistic and don't matter. What's not often really discussed is a lot of teenagers that go missing aren't necessarily going missing from their actual homes. And that is clear to me when they're forwarded to us from An Garda Síochána, because you can read between the lines. And you'll see maybe one or two of the children going missing regularly, but certainly a lot of them are not going missing from their actual own homes as well, which is not always mentioned. And then people, why are so many teenagers going missing? Well, there's a mix of the demographic, but a lot of them are not from their actual own homes. Right, now I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more after these messages.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Looking for a career in Donegal with real purpose and growth potential? Tata Consultancy Services, proud winner of Workplace of the Year, is hiring customer service professionals. Be part of a passionate, innovative team with great opportunities to grow your tech career right here in Donegal. Apply today at tcscareers.ie. That's tcscareers.ie.
A water conservation order continues to be in place in the Milford area until October 13th to safeguard the water supply for essential purposes. This order follows many months of dry weather, putting the water source under stress. Please do not use a hosepipe or sprinkler and conserve water wherever you can. Together, we can safeguard our water resources. Learn more at water.ie/WCO. Ishke Éireann, delivering water services for Ireland.
I'm Fionnuala Fibre O'Farrell Flynn, racing across the country to keep up with NBI's fibre rollout. Over 50 broadband providers are using NBI's network to bring high-speed fibre broadband to homes across Ireland. So from Ballyliffin to Ballybuffet, homeowners can pick whatever package suits their needs and still get all the benefits of rural Ireland's dedicated fibre broadband network. Connect at nbi.ie.
NBI is delivering the government's national broadband plan.
Another connection. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have worn heels.
Hello, Jedward speaking. Sorry, Edward speaking.
Hey, bro. I'm glad you picked up.
Who is this?
It's me, John. I'm literally outside in the landing.
I don't know any Sean. Lose my number. Hello?
Edward, don't hang up. I'm sorry for saying a handyman could fix the gas boiler. Please forgive.
Always use a registered gas installer, or you could risk everything. Find one at rgi.ie.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
11:08, 11:09 just turning. Sorry for holding you, Trelach O'Phelan. How are you keeping?
Greg, the line isn't very good there. I can barely hear you.
What about now? I'm sorry.
It's a bit better. It's a bit better.
Listen, you know the story anyway. Here we're going to plug Donegal County Council's Culture Night. It's the 17th annual programme of events, and it's another packed one, Trelach.
That's true, exactly. This is 17 years, but the Culture Night has been going nationally for 20 years, and we've been part of it for the last 17, which is excellent. We've had a number of really good years over the last number of years, and this year is no exception. It's probably our biggest program yet.
Pick out some highlights for us. When's everything happening?
Well, it runs basically from 6 o'clock until about 10 o'clock tonight. Letterkenny is probably the hub of the activity, but we've also got a considerable programme in Ishone, in Carndunna, in Buncrana. We've got some events in Ramelton. We're in Donegal Town. We're in Ballyshannon, and we're in Bundoran, and also Ali and the Gaeltacht are doing a full programme of events in the Gaeltacht areas as well, in the Glencullen-Kill area, and in Gidor, and in the Rosses. So it's a huge programme. To pick out events is difficult enough, but I'll give it a good go. I would suggest The main area, I suppose, in the town park tonight is usually a very, very popular. We usually have quite a big audience there for the Inisho and Carnival annual show. This year they're doing a show called Anpuka, which they did at the St Patrick's Day parade in Dublin, and they're bringing that particular parade into the town park tonight, and all the sculpture trail that goes with it will be on display right through the park. And we're also doing, I suppose, a multicultural cabaret in the town park. That will be running from 7 o'clock. The two Inisho and Carnival programs or performances will be at 8 o'clock and 9. Right through the town then, you look through, say, Donegal County Museum. There's an excellent exhibition been running there for the whole summer called Working Over By, which is essentially the story of Donegal people working in Scotland in the 50s, 60s, 70s and probably early 80s as well. It's an incredibly good exhibition. It's been very popular over the summer. And part of that exhibition is a living history performance, a small theatre performance. I suppose just of a couple leaving Donegal in the 1950s to go to Scotland on the Derry boat and the story around that. So that living history performance is on in the County Museum.
And as you say, there's so much going on. There's a number of venues. I think there's there's 13 or 14 venues. 13, in fact, I believe, across Letterkenny. Where events are taking place. You need to get onto culturenight.ie/Donegal, and you might decide to do half an hour or more in the town park and then head to the County Museum, or head to Venue 3, which is also the County Museum, or the Loft, or the Donegal ETB. It's all over the shop. So we can't do it justice in this short phone call. Get to culturenight.ie/Donegal and find out more. Thanks so much, Treylock. Look after yourself in Donegal town. There's events in the Presbyterian Church and also at Inkwell in Ballyshannon. If you're listening in that part of the world, there's events on from 6 p.m. in the Old Barrack Studio and Gallery in Ballyshannon and in Bundoran. There's a Culture Night in Bundoran. That's taking place at the Bundoran Community Centre. Let's go to... Where should we go to next? Let's go to Buncrana. Sophie Gallagher is the nighttime economy advisor, Buncrana, with Donegal County Council, and Buncrana coming alive more so than ever on Culture Night. Sophie, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. Thanks for having me.
All right, what's coming up?
Well, tonight we have a Culture Night trail starting at 6 o'clock. The concept really is to try and get premises that aren't normally open after 6 at night to open and have creative installations or musicians in their premises, and we're encouraging families and local people to come out and support and move between the venues. So and then at 9:30 we have a screening in Buncrana Cinema of Echoes of an Irish Lifetime, followed by video footage from Hugh Quirk. So with plenty on for everybody tonight.
Yeah, and the culture trail interests me. Live music performances, a DJ set, collage workshop, storytelling sessions. The audience will be led on that, Sophie, to sample all the various elements of culture.
Yeah, there's a full programme up online where you can just move between the various premises on the main street. Sequin Cinderella has a DJ set, and you can go in and shop and enjoy the music as well. Yellow Ribbon will be the same. They'll have songbird sessions. So we're encouraging people to get out there. Tiny's will have storytelling for young people. DK Beauty will have face painting. So there's something for everybody. And then there's a few activations in the Christchurch Hall. So we have Buncrana's creative writing community in there, and Scoil Trad Buncrana having a session at 6:30. So everything starts between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And in the Northern Light Gallery with Adam Porter, there's an art exhibition in Porter's Computers from 6 to 9 o'clock as well.
All right.
So there's plenty there. You can check it out online, as you mentioned.
Right, check it out. Enjoy. Thanks very much indeed. Sophie Gallagher there. So lots going on. Go to culturenight.ie/Donegal. A lot of work goes into that, so it's good to see. It'll be good to see big crowds. A caller says, Ireland's commitment to cherish all the children equally was nothing more than a mask to cover up to the world the reality of a seedy state. We all know the levels of child abuse and neglect that happened here even back in the 1930s. There were more children locked up in industrial schools in the Irish Free State than there were in the UK equivalent combined. That's saying that the condition of a nation's children reflects the character of the political elite is very true in Ireland. The one thing is that we're living through an awful lot of stuff now that will be looked back on historically very unfavourably. So whilst we have to recognise what happened in the past, let's not take our eye off what's happening right now. 40,000 odd children were in the position whereby an intervention from Tusla was required. The cases were signed off on. We never found out what happened afterwards. We're going to do that, but that's happening right now. As I said, almost 250,000 children living in poverty, not on the line, in poverty. And of course, we have 5,000 children homeless, no home in this country. A caller says, Time Micheál Colm stopped living in the past. What's his views on the Antifa supporter who murdered Charlie Kirk? Hey, if you don't want easy data tracking and identification, you should probably oppose the EU's chat control crap. No one's face should be in any database linked with the rest of the PPI. Also, too, you can turn off an awful lot of that in privacy settings on your phones as well. By the way, I choose to because it helps with driving and traffic management and recommendations and location settings. I choose to share my data. Now, I didn't anticipate it was going to be sold to the highest bidder, but I choose to. It's an active choice that I make because it suits my life. But you can switch all that off, and therefore there's nothing on you to sell. A caller says, I'm a foster carer. You are prepared for children who have mental health, abuse and social issues. Only 20% of children ever go back to parents. I have a child since its birth, and I will most likely have that child until it's an adult. I would love that child to return to their parents, but the reality is different. I recently had a child for a number of months and they returned to their parents, and that's great. Those parents showed up and were helped through a bad period in their life. That's an example of how the system works. The short-term foster carers rules are to reunite the children with their parents, but that very much depends on the parents' willingness to cooperate. I feel at times the birth parents are given too much say and support, and the children are not supported enough. Many parents don't show up or have any interest or intention of wanting the child or children back. These parents are not always young. Many are older. Now we're faced with the added issue of many of the children from mixed race families, and there are many religious rules we have to consider as well. Well, there you go. It is a very, very complex area. And you have to recognise that people become parents, and what we think of our children and how we care for our children and the importance we place in them. Not every adult is the same. It's a terrible indictment, but it's a fact. The Low Pay Commission is expected to recommend to the government an increase of 5% to the minimum wage. What do you think of this? The rate's currently €13.50 per hour. An increase of 5% would bring the rate to €14.17 per hour. We know in the past the government has usually followed the Commission's recommendation. The national minimum wage rate was last changed at the 1st of January of this year, when it was increased from $12.70 to $13.50. Now, there are various bands in that, which I don't fully agree with. But anyway, we know businesses are under pressure. We know an awful lot of people are employed in this county on the minimum wage. Just if you are in business, take note that if the government does what it normally does and follows the Commission's recommendations, the minimum wage will increase by 5% to €14.17. Micheál Colm said that he believes that the far right are being trained in guns. On Micheál Colm's social media page, there are a few things that I don't think are too appropriate. Why is he talking about explosives on Highland Radio when on his cover page a young girl is holding a gun? During his campaign, he had a picture of him casting his vote in the ballot box. He was wearing a T-shirt with a young man throwing a petrol bomb. This was very distasteful. How can you say one thing and promote what you're against? I can't unpack people's ideologies, to be honest with you. I try at times, but I often can't. Another caller says, far right, far left, very wealthy, working class elites, all this antiquated language does nothing to educate people, rather it alienates people, so it's counter-revolutionary. Again, and I wasn't in any way being any way disparaging, I was showing up my own ignorance here in trying to track a lot of the language and sort of the pathway through the ideology, and I struggled, and I was just very honest in relation to that. Greg, on the question of threats against politicians, etc., people see a situation where children that should be cared for and looked after until they can look after themselves, instead of this, they are tortured and killed by people that are more interested in gaining more wealth and control. Another caller says, we're not far right. This country is not far right. Politicians are not listening. Let me see. I'll come back to that in a moment. Hi, Greg. I'm driving on the dual carriageway. This was earlier in the morning. Could we give credit to the workers that were on it for the lovely, tidy job they made of the main road into Letterkenny? Okay, nice to spread a bit of love there. Yesterday, we spoke to the mother of a 4-year-old child who had type 1 diabetes and just recently started primary school. Now, the school hired a preschool AIM support, but that lasted a number of weeks and then the money ran out. And the parent phrased it as such, Lorna, in fact, that she was effectively told there might be some part-time care, but because her daughter has type 1 diabetes, that's not suitable. And that there was no funding, there was no success in the application for a third SNA. There are 2 SNAs already in that school. So we got in touch with, who did we get in touch with? The Department of Education and Youth to sort of have to see what their take on this issue was. We got nothing back either from the Housing Department, by the way. We do keep trying to get some response to them as it relates to downgraded homeowners, but they simply at this point aren't responding. But anyway, back to the Department of Education and Youth. Special needs assistants play a central role in the successful inclusion of students with additional and significant care needs in schools. They help ensure that these students can access an education to enable them to achieve their best outcomes and reach their full potential. The number of SNAs employed across the education system has grown significantly, with more than 23,000 now in place, an increase of almost 7,000 since 2020. Now, the allocation of SNAs is the responsibility of the National Council for Education. It's important to note that SNAs are not allocated to an individual student, but as a whole school resource. An SNA should be deployed by schools in a manner which best meets the care support requirements of students in mainstream classes. It is a matter for each school to allocate SNA support to meet student need through identifying and monitoring the care needs of all students in the school, thereby allowing schools flexibility in how the available SNA support is utilised. In relation to this case, the NCSE has advised that they've been in close contact with the school concerned and will continue to work with the school and family as required. The NCSE would like to remind all schools that it is open to them to seek a renew of their SNA allocation from the NCSE, and if additional resources are required, they will be provided. Details of the review process are available on the NCSE. Now, you can read through the lines on that one. What they seem to be saying, that it's up to the schools to make sure they have enough SNAs for their requirements. The issue is if there are 3 children that require SNAs and one of them requires full-time medical observation, well then, you know, you're in a situation whereby you're asking a school to pick one child over another. But the NCSE seems to be indicating that if an application was made for additional SNA resources, then they would be reviewed. I'm not saying they're saying that that application has not been received by them. It's very hard to make out. Again, I'm trying to read between the lines. But anyway, that's the official position there from the NCSE. Rightio, back with more after a quick break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
All across Ireland, music fills cafes, salons, offices, gyms and restaurants. It creates a vibe, makes people smile. It might even turn a 4-star review into a 5. Music can lift moods, boost sales and improve staff morale. Whether your business plays background radio or a curated playlist, you need a music licence. It ensures music creators are fairly paid for their work. Buy your licence today at imro.ie/pay now. Because music drives business.
Save on home essentials with Homeland's September mega deals. There's Lions tea bag 600 pack now only $19.99. Save 15% on Royal Canin mini, medium or maxi dog food bags. And there's 25 litre double chamber ash vacuum now $49.99. Save €15. All this and more until September 21st. In store and online at homeland.ie.
The Irish Coast Guard is recruiting watch officers for its rescue coordination centres in Valentia, Malin Head and Dublin.
Mayday relay. Mayday relay.
It's our job to coordinate life-saving missions for swimmers, seafarers and anyone else who needs our help.
Copy that, Rescue 115. Position confirmed. Proceed with rescue.
Watch officers stay calm under pressure. We have to. It's how we save lives. Apply today at publicjobs.ie.
Around the Northwest with John Bresden live this Friday at Irvine Expert Electrical Letterkenny for the Big Build Weekend from 12 to 2:30. There'll be unbeatable offers across the store, expert advice and the latest home appliance innovations. It's all happening this Friday and Saturday at Irvine Expert Electrical.
She's the Queen of Country and Irish, Margot, live in concert. Catch Margot with the Ryan Turner Band Wednesday the 22nd of October at the Mount Derrigal Hotel in Letterkenny with special guests Shinny Cramsey and Damian Davis. Tickets available now at the hotel reception. Call 07491 22 700. Join Margot at the Mount Derrigal Hotel October 22nd for an unforgettable evening of music and memories.
Shannon Wilkin joins us in studio. She's been keeping an eye this week on what's been happening on the socials, just in case there are little... Do you know what? It just gives us an opportunity maybe to speak to the young uns around the kitchen table. Shannon, if any of us do that any longer, you know, trying to sort of say... Often it can be hard to speak to them, but you're going to give us some stuff we can raise with them, have a wee chin wag.
I think it's universal, though. I like to kind of do things that any age bracket can touch on. Okay. And I'm not really that young anymore,
So Jennifer Aniston discovers Reese Witherspoon's real name. We're going to be getting to that. You think that should be stuff everybody knows?
I put a wee video in it too, because it also opens up the can of worms. Like, even if you're friends with someone for so long, like, do you know their middle name?
Well, I didn't know my dad's and mum's names till I was 12.
Like their first names or their middle names?
Yeah, I just thought their names were mum and dad. I remember someone asking me in national school what their names were, and I was like, well, it's mum and dad. It's so cute.
Mommy and daddy.
I know, bless. Okay, you're glitching on this webcam, so this system needs a reboot. Hopefully it'll happen over the weekend. I don't have time for it now. Right, Jimmy Kimmel, Charlie Kirk. This has been referenced a number of times here. Of course, Charlie Kirk was assassinated effectively. Jimmy Kimmel is one of the big late night talk show hosts, and he's off air.
Yeah, he's been suspended indefinitely, and I suppose it's very hard to know what to say these days. And even trying to follow the story, I found it quite hard to find exactly what he said, but I just got a wee quote here. We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterise the kid, Robinson, who murdered Charlie Kirk, as anything other than one of them, and with everything they can do to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
Yeah, but what I don't understand is nighttime talk show hosts, especially on public-funded, what are they? Why are they partisan? Why are they Republican? Why are they Democrat? Why are they getting involved in that? Like, he's going to be interviewing, you know, or try to be interviewing Taylor Swift about a new album. What are they getting involved in politics for? Because you've got very Republican and very Democratic hosts, and they use their monologue to try and convince the people of their way of thinking. You know, like, especially if you are licensed by the state, as that show is, why are you getting involved in politics? You know,
it's
crack
a
jokes.
Strange one. Yeah, it's what's the context of it? Like, why would you even say that?
Because he's very anti-Donald Trump, and he's always been anti-Donald Trump, and he is a platform, and he's using that platform to score points. I'm not pro-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump. It's nothing to do with me. It's America. But if you're going to have talk shows that are partisan, you're going to get cancelled. And that's exactly what's happened now. And unfortunately, obviously not unfortunately, it's particularly those opposed to Trump that are getting cancelled.
But it's actually put a wee bit of a spanner in the works for Jimmy Fallon as well. He's a bit worried, will any of this affect him?
But he's also anti-Trump.
Yeah, but he's spoken out in front of Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
So, interesting to follow.
He has, but they're trying to wrap it up in free speech. But free speech is not free of consequences. And if you say something that's demonstrably untrue, as Jimmy Kimmel did, and you are on a publicly funded or publicly licensed TV station, there's going to be ramifications of that.
Yeah, you have to
know?
be held
Now, if he was on
accountable.
YouTube or if he was on Fox News or a cable show, he can say whatever he likes.
Mhm.
But he's licensed by, and Donald Trump has one of his people as head of the SEC, the equivalent to our commissioner man. Anyway, I thought this was supposed to be a fun item. Thank you for that. What should we talk about next?
I have Gilmore Girls here. So everyone kind of categorizes Gilmore Girls as a comfort show. It's a very fall/autumn for us Irish people. Just for the vibe of it, it's really cozy and it's the mother-daughter relationship. So they had a wee bit of a reuniting moment at the 75th Emmy Awards, which was on September 14th, so last week. And the show was celebrating 25 years and they set up the wee porch and everything in Stars Hollow.
Should we have a wee look and a listen?
Go on.
Okay. I can't keep running that because it's still not going out on our stream. Is that significant to Gilmore Girls fans? Sorry, go ahead, yep.
They haven't actually reunited since 2016 when it was Gilmore Girls: A Day in the Life, and that actually left us with a massive cliffhanger
One
as
second,
well.
stop speaking. No, it's not working correctly.
No,
Go on
not
ahead, yep.
working. In 2016, we were left with a massive cliffhanger. So the main character, Rory, she's pregnant and we don't know who the father is because she was having an affair to her married ex-boyfriend who asked her to marry her during college, but she wanted to be a big career woman, but then she gets with him anyway and she might be having his baby, but it also might be her ex-boyfriend who she doesn't like's baby.
How old would that baby be now?
Right, 2016, 8 or 9, depending on
Okay.
how far along she was.
Is that sort of like a prelim for a rebirth, if you pardon the pun, of that show?
Yeah, like it so could be, but I think they've also gone down the route of they don't want to make it into a full series. So Lauren Graham, who played Lorelai, she wants to do a Christmas special. She think it would work well.
Yeah, TV shows. I was struggling for something to watch, and I just thought, right, I'll go Netflix top 10. You know, what's the harm in that? And there was a show that was, I think when I clicked on it, it was number 2, and it's called Beauty in Black. Right, okay. Now, I've never seen anything like this show in all of my life. It's. I could try and explain the plot now, but it's so far-fetched. It's, you know, they talked about back in the day of the wobbly walls of Wentworth. This thing looks like it was shot on an iPhone for about €10, right? And the storyline makes no sense whatsoever. No sense. Every character is intertwined inexplicably. There's plot holes you could drive a bus through that they never even choose to close. Yet it's so high up in the top 10 of Netflix shows, right? Now, there's quite a bit of skin in it. Let me put it like that, right? There's bits and bobs here and there because one of the girls works as an exotic dancer. And I, for the life, now I'm on episode 9.
You're well through it then.
Because it's so bad, it's good. But
Yeah.
I wondered, how can it be in the Netflix top 10 so consistently? Now, there's maybe 20 characters in it. No one says anything nice to anyone. Everything is screaming. Everything is screaming, swear words, you're this, you're that. Everyone hates everyone. And then some characters seem nice, but they're also nasty, and there's no explanation as to why they're different in 2 different spaces. But if anyone's watched Beauty in Black and can tell me why it's in the top 10 on Netflix, then again, I suppose I'm on episode 9, right? So, I don't know. Can't make any sense of it all. Right, let's get back out of that. Margaret Robbie. Is it Rob or Robbie? Margot
Robbie.
Okay, and Colin Farrell.
Yeah, they have a new film.
Oh, sorry. Can we go back to Ben and Jerry's ice cream?
You
This
can do
again,
everyone.
though, you're bringing us into this space of geopolitics on what's supposed to be a fun item. But
yeah,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I think that's also like kind of cool, like intertwining the two. Like news is everywhere,
all right,
guys.
okay, yeah.
News nerd. So it's a bit of a sad story. Ben and Jerry's is now just going to be Ben. Well, they're not rebranding, but Jerry's decided to up and leave after 50 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And it seems to be along the lines of his politics.
Yeah.
Effectively, in his campaigning. I think it's relating to the Middle East and what have you. All right.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah,
they're
love
going to retain the Ben and Jerry's name.
Yeah.
And Ben was very nice about Jerry leaving too. So Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell, they have a new film out. What's this about?
So it's called A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. Again, I put the trailer in there, but I don't know if you can
No,
play it.
because the audio's not
But
going out.
I've been looking at the trailer every time I've gone to the cinema, and it looks really, really cool. But it's gotten a few kind of mixed reviews of is it good, is it bad. It's a bit too fantasy whimsical for some people, so they go through the portal of this magic door and they end up in places.
Leonardo DiCaprio seems to be getting rave reviews for a new film of his. I don't know what it is, but anyway.
I am out of the loop as well. I'm sorry.
No, but
so
I saw a couple of things. It's supposed to be fantastic. Jennifer Aniston discovers Reese Witherspoon's real name. You're just going to have to give us an idea of what this is about. Actually, do you know what? The overwhelming majority are listening on radio. Shall I just play it and see what the crack is?
You can try, sure.
That would be one of my least favourite phrases. I was today years old. I don't know what your views on that is.
See, I would actually use that a lot, but it
Really?
is kind of cringe.
Oh, it's all
I was
OTT.
today years
Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, two lovely ladies, but clearly in some sort of a bubble of celebrity, really. That's what's vexing them. But it's nice. They're nice. They're two nice people. That's a nice little exchange.
Yeah, like, and they've been in the industry a long time, so it's kind of funny. Like, it never went one day. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
By the way,
It goes to
not
show
my real name.
how maybe fake their relationship is, or am I being negative? Nobody wants this season 2. Is that a statement or what?
So again, this is another kind of rom-com-y show, and I am very, very bad at finishing anything, but I finished that show in like 2 days.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it just really hooks you in. So it is basically this girl, and she's like, women empowerment, you know, goes on dates with random fellas, but she doesn't want to actually be in a relationship with any of them. She's just this cool girl. And then she meets this guy, and she's like, oh my God, I love him. He's class. But it turns out he's a rabbi.
Oh, all right, okay.
So they have to navigate that, and she's also not Jewish.
Mm.
So he needs to be with someone, and he's going to get a promotion. I'm not sure what the next level of a rabbi is, but he was going to get the promotion to be the head of the parish or whatever you call it. And he has to decide, can I be with this woman or what? And then she's like, will I become a Jew? Will I not? But they've like so much chemistry. But another spanner has been thrown into the works.
Go on, throw it in. What is it?
The character's real life wife in real life is going to be added into the show as like this kind of like old middle school friend, and she's going to bring all this drama. So
Sounds like you might be excited about that, yeah?
Yeah, so
Okay.
October 23rd, I'm counting down the days.
I saw pictures on socials of Dermot O'Leary in various restaurants. What's he doing here?
So he is here for his show Dermot's Taste of Ireland, and that's going to be on
I thought
UTV.
Nevin Maguire does that. Why can they not just have bought Nevin Maguire's show and
I
save
think
themselves a fortune?
they'd have different demographics,
Yeah, I suppose,
probably.
okay.
But the first thing I actually saw him on, Donna Marie came out and she was like, do you know Donna Bees? And I was like, huh, is Donna a person? And she's like, no, like Karen Donna. And I was like, okay. And it's this guy who runs like a beekeeping and does hunting and all. And he was sitting down with Dermot, and they had a lovely wee chat. So
Okay, good stuff. Anything that shines a light in our region? Anything else? Have we covered
anything
everything
else?
there?
I really wanted to try get a good moment from the ploughing,
Okay.
but I didn't. Instead, I found your brother.
Oh yeah, drums
Yeah,
down
so
there.
I was like,
he
was
was
that
down
drum?
there. It was, yeah.
Yeah, but I've seen like people like doing jiving and stuff, but nothing like, oh my God.
I wonder,
wow.
is it good? Have you ever been down there?
I haven't. My granddad has been. Loves it.
Okay. I would like to go just to see what it's like, but I'd like it to be dry, you know.
Yeah.
Come here. You are heading off shortly. You are working with John Breslin around the Northwest. You're down at Irwin's Electrical?
Irwin Electrical in Letterkenny, yeah.
Okay, so that's after 12.
After after 12.
Well,
and
I'll let you. Better let you go.
Yeah,
You've a lot to be doing.
Run off.
All right,
Thank you.
Shannon. Thank you very much indeed. That's Shannon Wilkins' take on what's trending on social media. Some of it anyway. 086 60 25,000. If you have anything to say, 086 60 25,000. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Near me in rural Donegal, houses got planning permission to build houses for locals, but sold them to holiday makers or are leaving them empty for 7 years so they can sell them to anyone who has enough money. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and there will be people that will always maybe exploit planning laws for their own needs or what have you. I don't know. Right, I'm going to take a break and we're going to be in studio with our next guest in just a couple of moments.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Thinking about changing your car? Making the change is easier than ever at Kelly's Toyota, thanks to Toyota Approved Used. Choose from our extensive range of used passenger and commercial vehicles, including 242 and 251 demo models at great prices. Tested and approved by Ireland's most trusted car brand. All our cars come with a 12-month comprehensive warranty with flexible payment options available. Talk to Kelly's Toyota today. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply.
All around Ireland, ordinary people are doing amazing things every single day with Return. Charities, clubs and organisations are fundraising for causes big and small to benefit their communities. They're turning empty bottles and cans into everything from football kits to park benches, playground equipment to men's sheds, and food bank donations to defibrillators. It's never been easier to get involved and do something good for your community. So come and join the thousands of initiatives using Return for Good at return.ie.
It's Cabaret 25 at Harvey's Point. We start again on Wednesday, September the 3rd, and every Wednesday until November the 5th. An amazing lineup of stars, gourmet food, the warmest of welcomes, and all in the beautiful surrounds of Harvey's Point on Lough Esk, Donegal town. Book today 074 972 2208 or harveyspoint.com. The Harvey's Point Cabaret, a night not to be missed.
Loganair says, let the wee ones fly. Kids aged 11 and under go fare free. Just pay the taxes. Your next family adventure awaits. Book by the 23rd of September. Find deals at loganair.co.uk. T's and C's apply, subject to availability. Children must travel with a full fare-paying accompanying adult.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, so mainly dry across our region today. Temperatures around about 15 to 17 degrees in light to moderate southwest to west winds. Mainly dry tonight. Which is good news, isn't it? And the weather forecast they've sent me is a generic Ulster one, which is not much use, and I'm trying to make sense of it. Right, this will be easier to make sense of. It's a show coming up. It's called Hometown Girls. Michael Gallagher's with me. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how are you doing? Great.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have Billy McInnes.
McInnes. Hi, Greg.
Okay, lovely to have you, Billy. Sorry, I haven't just seen that variation of the spelling before. Helen Power, all three of you from the Glentees Musical Theatre. Good morning, Helen.
Hello. How are you? I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent stuff. So who, is it you, Billy, wants to tell me a bit about Hometown Girls?
Yes, yeah. So it's an original musical, all country songs pretty much, and it's about a set with Donegal winning the All-Ireland in 1992 and 2012. So it's got all the things that people in Donegal like, which is GAA, winning the All-Ireland and country music, and also it's set in a pub. So three things at least, and also a lot about the community spirit. So
yeah. What is the task of beginning something? It's one thing interpreting another person's work, right?
Yeah.
That in itself is impressive and a challenge. But to create something, is all the music original as well?
Yes, everything. 20 songs. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah. It's some piece of work, isn't it?
Yeah, I wanted to do something different, because a lot of musical societies are doing well-established musicals, or there's jukebox musicals. So I wanted to do something completely original.
Well, there has to be a conveyor belt too, doesn't there? There has to be something that created now that becomes something other theatres put on as well too.
Hopefully, yeah.
So, well, fingers crossed. What's your role in it, Helen?
Well, I'm originally from Dublin and I live in Donegal now. I'm official Donegal resident for the last 6 years, but I've been coming to Donegal since I was a child. I play the Dublin woman exiled in Donegal. And I have a great part because I play, I'm on stage for the whole time in a pub. I start off in the pub 20 years, in 1992 with my pal. And 20 years later, I'm still sitting in the pub. So the lads say I'm typecast, but that's not true at all. But it's a great part, and it's a comedic part, and there's some, I suppose, a bit of music attached to our part as well. But it's good fun, and it's very lively. So being in the pub with my best pal over 20 years, talking about Donegal and the football and drinking and singing that's the part I have. So it's great fun.
Michael, yours is an interesting story because it's like art imitating life. Is that a bit of a stretch? Involved in the 92 panel and now making your stage debut on in a piece that sort of reflects on that?
Very, very true. Something like I never expected to be doing when I was back playing football in 92. But years later, my young sister, she helps Billy with the directing, she rang me up and said, Michael, we have a part for you here.
Well, what did she see in you that thought that's a phone call she could even make?
A very good question. Probably thought that, this is something maybe this fella could do. He always kind of plays a bit of the character, but now we'll put him on the spot and see if he can do it on the stage. So, hence, I had to go with it, and with the help of the likes of these established people like Helen, and then younger people in the town that are college age students and younger than that, and they are all part of the show as well, and they help you to mature into it. So here I am.
How have you found it though? Because there's one thing we make a call and go, right, okay, I'll have a go with it, and then you turn up and between casting and then rehearsals and all that kind of stuff, you must have found a home there, or else you'd have got on your bike straight away.
Yeah, well, I suppose I was kind of confident enough that I could do it. And then when I got up on stage, and then I was told, right, you have to sing a song too, Michael. And that's where I was definitely out of my comfort zone. So luckily, it's went okay. After plenty of rehearsals, which we've been doing now for months, I kind of, had to go with it, and happy enough.
How would you frame it, Billy? Is it an upbeat piece throughout, or is it just about chat, conversation, cracking music, or does it run any deeper than that?
Yeah, no, it's about three. Obviously there's lots of people in the pub, and they will have their own little stories, but it's mainly about three girls and their friendship. But and there's a lot of jokes and there's a lot of upbeat songs, but also there is some, there's exploration of the relationship between fathers and daughters and between husbands and wives. Great thing about country music is you can write about grown-up subjects like marriage, divorce, all of those things that you don't get with pop music.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
I think it's a wonderful piece of work. How long have you been working on it, like from inception to virtually ready to get up on stage?
Oh, so the first time I had an idea about it was in 2018, and then I would sort of do a bit, then think I need to have a song, so I'd write a song and then carry on. And then we sort of had a brief run through during COVID, and then we worked on it some more, so we then finally got it in Glenties in April, first time, and that was very entertaining because we didn't have all the cast in one place until the actual night of the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the people of Glenties and surrounds have already enjoyed this. It's coming to An Green on Theatre Letterkenny on Thursday and Friday. That's this coming Thursday and Friday. That's the 25th and 26th of September, 8 p.m. Is it for a general audience, Billy?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's. Okay. I mean, I know it's set in a pub, but yeah.
Mums and dads know themselves.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
in other words, you're not effing and blind, and Helen doesn't run across stage.
No, we were really just talking about that on the way over, that it would, like my two grandchildren, and they're 10 and 8, and I'm looking forward to them coming and seeing Nanny on stage. So it'll be.
Also, actually, sorry, just on the Thursday, there's a special promo so people can get discounted tickets.
Brilliant. Well, we'll talk about that. We're going to hear one of the tracks first. Yes. Hometown Girls, Billy. Talk to me about this track.
This song is called "Cold Women and Warm Beer," and it's a classic.
Sorry, I beg
country
your
song.
pardon. It's been put in. It's been put in not as its title. My mistake. This is from your production, Hometown Girls. What's the song?
It's called "Cold Women and Warm Beer," and it's a reply song to one that the girls sing called "A Good Man Is So Hard to Find."
So we'll have a listen to that. Stay where you are. This is one of the tracks from Hometown Girls, which is in on Green on Theatre next Thursday and Friday.
Give me a drink, bartender. Better make it two. It's really great to be back home again. I've been in too many towns, where no one looks at you. And it's good to see a friendly face again. I've been in drinking dens, watering holes and places without you. There's nothing worse than being in a bar with cold women and warm beer. I've been in dingy bars, seedy dives that no one would go near. But there's nothing worse than being in a bar with cold women and warm beer. Well, it's true I like a drink, hey, the next one even more. And it's never let me down through all the years. But there were nights that I'd regret even walking through the door, when the atmosphere was colder than the beer. I've been in drinking dens, watering holes and places without you. There's nothing worse than being in a bar with cold women and warm beer. I've been in dingy bars, seedy dives that no one would go near. And there's nothing worse than being in a bar with cold women and warm beer. So one more for the road and one for the old pothole. It feels so good, it's hard for me to leave. But I know the time has come, and I will have to go. But I'll be back again, just wait and see. I've been in drinking dens, watering holes, hey, places without you. There's nothing worse than being in a bar with cold women and warm beer. I've been in dingy bars, seedy dives that no one would go near. But there's nothing worse than being in a bar with cold women and no beer.
There you go. And that's actually recorded live from the Glenties show, it has to be said as well. Billy, tell us a bit about who was performing there. It's
that was a guy called Sean McMonagle.
Brilliant. Well done, Sean.
Yeah, great singer.
Right, just before we remind people when and where to, it's like all great theatre companies that we have here too. There's lots of different people of different backgrounds and different ages, Billy, involved in this production.
Yes, from school age, really, secondary school, all the way up to Oh, wait.
Be careful now, just stick with the young ones.
Seniors, glamorous seniors.
You do want a cast, don't you? It's not too late to pull out.
It is too late. It is too late. Yes, it is.
Oh, is it all right?
Yes,
okay.
the contracts have been signed.
Brilliant stuff. Michael, is this just the beginning of your illustrious acting career?
Yeah, well, next week will tell a lot, all right?
Okay.
The reviewers will have their say.
And I presume this is not your first rodeo, Helen.
No, I've been involved in amateur dramatics all my life,
can
and it's
tell,
just
you can tell.
oh, can you? Thanks. No, but this is, as Billy said, the wonderful thing about the Glenties Drama Group and musical theatre is that it's from very young, from people that are, I think the youngest is in fifth year, and right up to the seniors, and that lovely energy of that vastness of age groups and what they bring. So
yeah, and the broadness of that demo too works with the audience as well too, doesn't it?
Does, yeah.
Right, okay, so you just got a sample there of one of the original songs, and all of the songs are original for this production. It's Hometown Girls. It's set against the backdrop of Donegal's All-Ireland victories in 92 and 2012. And it was incredibly well received, I'm told, in Glenties, and it's coming to Letterkenny. It's on the stage of Buncrana Theatre on Thursday the 25th and Friday the 26th of September at 8 p.m. You can get your tickets now. I think you referenced a particular promo for Thursday, did you, Billy?
Yes, that's right, Greg. There's a special offer on Thursday, so if you apply the code HOMETOWN8, you'll get discount on the ticket, so it'll be 12 for standard and 8 for concessions.
Well done. Okay, brilliant stuff. Thanks so much for calling up to us, Michael. Michael Gallagher, it's been lovely having you in studio.
Thank you, Greg.
Looking forward to seeing you in Letterkenny. Billy McKinnis, thank you so much for calling up. And Helen Power.
Thank you.
Thank you
Greg.
so very much indeed. Lovely to have you in. Okay, now just check out that show, Hometown Girls. It looks like it's going to be a great one. And you heard from Helen, her 8 and 10-year-old, I believe it was, grandchildren, are going to it. So it's for that broad age group. All original tracks as well. A texter says, Sean McMonigal, a great singer over the years, so people recognise him from other stuff, Billy, as well. Something else that's going on, the Seven Gables Vintage Club. Best of luck to you tomorrow with your vintage threshing day at Flaxmill Farm. It's in Legnaduff, Killay. All proceeds in aid of Donegal Hospice and the Laurel Inn Hospice. Very important causes for our community. All the best from Harry Ferguson. I've got the air code here if you want to get along to that threshing day at Flaxmill Farm. But that's where we have to leave it on the 9 till noon show today. Don't forget, John Breston's coming up next live from Irwin's Electrical in Letterkenny. We'll be back with you on Monday morning at 9 o'clock. So from me, Greg Hughes, and the rest of the team here on the 9